So, are you abstaining or what, Johnny, on the sign, or not, on the sign? Okay, so they're all on hold at the full board, so the next thing is the beginning of, old business. Yes, right there. All right. We didn't have,
This was held for review, right?
yeah,
We put high holds on. Yep.
the, can I just ask a question?
Yep.
Dawn, about number 6 of the sign thing, because I didn't notice it before. That was held also for any particular reason, or?
Just some more, they made some recommendations.
Okay, that's the police department, right? Okay. All right, so, we'll go on with 17 Sherburne Turnpike. And did you do any changes or anything?
No changes whatsoever. We just did high polls for you.
Yeah,
You keep all that brush on Sherburne Pike?
Everything will stay as is. The first 60 feet are actually an easement to the town. The beginning of the lot doesn't start.
Oh, right,
We
right.
staked that for you too, till like 60 feet off the road.
no, that was good staking. It made it a great deal easier to see what we had. So this is now really the first time the house has been in front of us. Thank you. The red
This is we're rebuilding the house we've already built and improved.
is general notes.
Up off of the
Yeah. What color, Tori? Do you know?
On the trim and all that?
Yeah.
White. And this is, there should be photos that were submitted, I believe John has them there, of that, we already built this house up off of Delaney Road
Yeah.
on Dartmouth, what was Dartmouth Lane.
Yeah,
So there's photos, you can see exactly what it looks like.
I have no concerns, Madam Chair.
I ditto that,
all right.
especially as far back from the
TJ, do
street.
you have,
I like this house, but one concern would be on your AC condensers that.
In the setback, we're gonna have to relocate those, yeah,
Okay.
I saw that.
up in this facade front,
Yep,
the little things up there,
Gable.
what are they?
the window, you mean? Or
Not the
or
window,
the
it
blocking?
looks like they're vents,
Yeah, they're, bathroom vents.
they are
Yeah.
all bathroom vents?
Yeah.
Okay, I 1, 2, 3, 4, Steve, I believe you're on this,
I agree with my colleagues.
okay, so may I have a motion about the, yeah, oh, all right, Johnny, I'm sorry, I thought they didn't mention you.
That came with it, okay?
John, I have to interrupt. You're not on this, so you're speaking.
Well, I'm not on it.
Yeah, so
No.
you speak as a member of the public.
was, okay, well, no problem, he can still.
Yeah, you
It's
can
a-
still speak. I just wanted to clarify for the record.
Did everybody get the email about speaking and not speaking at the meeting?
I have it printed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can have
That's the only reason I brought it up, not to shut you off.
Just
You
a
can
point
still
of
speak.
clarification, so he hasn't recused or abstained, so he's still at the table, so
Right.
as long as he's recognized by the chairman to speak.
Right.
He can speak, but he can't cast a vote.
Very good. So would you like to say something, Johnny?
No.
All right,
Oh, I'd like to make a motion to
Yes.
approve.
all right. All those in favor of Abby's motion to approve the dwelling at 17 Sherburne Turnpike? Aye. Any against? Good, so that is full thing. Cabana. Next.
Come on, this is where we break out into this is where the HTC musical breaks out.
Totally.
Val did a set.
Val's
It
gonna
looks-
do the set, I
it
just.
looks- It looks exactly like the training room.
I was just gonna say that. Here are photos of the cabana. Okay, those are out, if you'd like to see
Where
them.
was that cabana that was 2 stories high and looked like a house in it?
That's photos of
That
the
was
cabana.
out in
This
South
is what it's gonna look
Roxbury.
like?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah, remember, Chip Webster's? Big
Was it
building?
his wild? Yes, I guess
Yeah.
it was. So, same board?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Yeah, this is all the way at the. And Diane and Val, I have photos of the cabana too, if you wanna look at those. Steve has them.
Are you really gonna miter the corners of the trim as opposed to running through?
We're gonna do,
Is that a
is that
cake?
how it's drawn?
Yeah,
It may just be a picture. It's a picture frame.
I don't know if they mitered it, but they just did a 2-cut.
oh, no, around the windows.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay,
It may just be a CAD thing.
it's all right, just ask
That,
me.
yeah, that, no, we're not gonna,
Okay,
it would be a traditional window casing.
Alrighty,
I have no
Not mitered.
concerns, Madam Chair.
thank you.
Motion to approve.
How about you?
I'm with y'all.
Alright, may I have a motion to approve?
TJ made that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. The next thing is the pool. The pool. Pool room.
job very well.
It's supposed to be Kadeem tonight.
Focus on my food. Hey, you can't doodle first and foremost. What good?
He's an artist.
Motion approved is submitted.
Aye.
That was quick.
Do we have the pool even? When do you see it? It may be,
We looked
Purple.
Twice already.
I know. I just stopped.
There's nothing to see, really. No fencing, Tori?
There will be, and we'll submit it with the hardscaping plan, because there'll be retaining walls that we have to get approved and stuff.
Can I get a clarification, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Is the pool behind the house?
Yes.
Thank you.
Those are weird lots.
This one,
Yeah.
yeah, swooping.
All
So
those
make
in
a
favor of
motion.
the pool?
Aye.
Aye.
Who made the motion, Steve?
Motion
Yes,
approved is submitted.
I submitted. All right, thank you.
Thanks. Go buy a lottery ticket.
Okay, the next one is Henke, Jonathan Henke. It's really new business at 3 Friendship.
You got this one, Steve. Okay. Welcome.
You all know me, I think, from Charleston. John Haneke, been here 8 years, he worked for NIR. Like to go look. Kate, here at home, one picture.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes,
interestingly enough, I saw you singing at the Paint the Town Red,
Yes.
and tonight is HCC musical night, so.
all right, this is a full board, right? Says not been up,
Correct, yep.
okay. We still need one, it would be you, no, you were,
It's me,
it's
What is
you,
the overall
you?
height?
this one.
right.
25.
Because it's not in 1/4 scale, so I can't
26.
tell. I think it's cute.
Is this the, up on the hill
25.
next to the Heinz?
Feet 32 inches.
It's next to
13,
Dorothy
32.
Hertz's house,
Yes.
the empty lot.
The empty lot beside the garage and up the hill a little bit.
I've actually had a plan approved fairly similar to this there. It's a cape, it fits in the neighborhood very well.
Do we have colors?
Natural trim, natural sash. Sandtone, maybe the terratone,
Terratone, Santone.
and then Folger blue door. Doesn't state which kind of gray architectural, charcoal gray.
The dual gray.
Do they make dual gray anymore?
What's most likely?
Architectural?
Yeah, what's most likable for you guys, you think?
Probably black.
You like the black roofs better?
Charcoal gray.
Charcoal gray. or
What's
black?
her roof in the garage? She had,
Gray'd be
didn't she
better.
put a new roof on it when she did the garage over?
Charcoal gray, John, please.
Okay, and the sash, would that be like a sandtone or a terratone
He's undecided about Santone or green.
or green?
Yeah, so can we let you know on that? You know, the green, the Anderson green? That's the
Fine
same-
with me, but it's up to the commission. I
that's
don't
the
What,
think
green,
they're-
Anderson green?
You know,
What-
the Anderson windows that they come in a green?
Yeah,
So
like
green or
the
Santone
forest
or-
green,
Like
Yeah.
a dark medium.
So we could approve
yeah,
either,
I think so.
subject to them not being mixed.
Yeah.
I would motion to approve with, the sash to be either sandtone or the green, up to the applicant once he decides, because I think both are appropriate. Just don't mix them.
Okay.
Do half in one color and half in the other.
So if you had sand tone, and which charcoal were you using on the roof?
Charcoal gray.
Charcoal gray and architectural or,
Architectural, please.
okay, architectural,
As an aside, not related to the vote, if you do go green, I would change the door color from blue.
Sure.
So that's my motion, Madam Chair.
Complementary door color.
couldn't we say,
Yeah, that's
what do
fine.
you think about saying specific colors up
Hmm.
to the applicant so that we know, they know that they have not been designated absolutely yet?
I said up to the applicant to choose between Santone and the green.
Maybe to address, can I make a suggestion to
Mhm.
address the door? So it would be blue, if the, submitted per the application, what color blue is it?
Folger blue.
So Folger, so guys, it'd be Folger blue if you're using Santone, and would you do a green, Essex green to match the trim if it,
Sounds
and an
fine.
Essex
Perfect.
green if it's green Anderson's?
I add that to my
Oh,
motion.
Essex green, and they're called Green Andersons, and I
Forest
noticed them
green.
before.
Or I think it's called forest.
All right,
All in,
Hi.
all in favor of that?
aye.
Aye.
Oh, with the Santone.
Yes,
I have something to say, thank you. I have just a question. Is this one lot or is this two lots? Each lot.
On Friendship?
Yeah.
It's a lot is one right now.
It's not one lot. Are you gonna have air conditioning? We have to know where they're gonna go. If you haven't, you gotta fence them in, with a little fence,
Okay.
and it's protecting you.
I don't think you decided the other one
Put
for that.
any on there.
No problem.
Can I add a friendly, and subject to submission, can you guys put a site plan in? There isn't a site plan.
There wasn't one?
it's site plan 1/4 inch
here.
drawing.
They're
okay.
just all stapled together.
Okay, I didn't see
I'm
one.
sorry.
No other discussion on the motion from this part of the table.
Oh, all right, so the motion is to approve with the color changes that Val mentioned, which would be up to the applicant as to his mixture. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Carson, this is the friendliest 40B that's been done.
Thank you very much.
It's lot 40B.
Yeah. Thank you, folks.
Have a good night. didn't know that. I did not know that.
Okay, the next one is 2 Chestnut, which is demoing the garage to begin with.
Howdy,
Howdy.
I'm Bill Hamlin. My architect is on Fairgrounds Road in this lake.
Welcome to the HTC.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Madam Chair, the last time this was heard, they want to demo the garage, and it was held to,
Historic info?
yeah, what else was going to be added onto the garage if it was demolished? If it was a partial demo, the whole thing was being demolished.
We didn't have that information, right?
It's been quite some time.
Yeah, it was last December 18th.
Oh, clear as a bell. And did HSAP weigh in?
You gotta tuck this thing in somewhere.
Oh, sorry.
Is this have a wood?
I do.
This
It's
is
okay.
Weird material.
Goes from Laughlin, Camp, Oliver, Gulf Waterson, Future.
So it's now Jesse.
Can I clarify something, Madam?
Yes,
This is that weird garage.
It
Yeah.
looks like, so demo garage, and the next one is new dwelling, and the next one is removed deck. So,
staircase,
so,
yeah.
demoing this garage, and there's going to be a new dwelling in its place, can I ask them?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
because,
I believe the stipulation last time was that the demolition was approved conditional upon approval of a new dwelling.
Right.
And
So-
were you requested to include, if a new dwelling was to put there, that it would begin with the shape of the garage, and we have historic information, age, and et cetera, of the garage?
There is information in the record. I think it's debatable whether it's really contributing or not, because it's a corrugated metal held together by the 2x4s. But we paid homage to it via the front facade.
yeah, the front facade is obviously,
Do you know when it was built?
I don't remember. It's in the records that we had.
1923 Sanborn.
It's on the map, right?
1923.
Sanborn, but I don't know what is remaining of that building that we're looking at.
Right.
We didn't find any photo records.
No photo records?
I couldn't find it.
Okay. Abby,
oh, well, are you asking me for my opinion?
yeah,
I'm worried about losing, first of all, I believe those doors are historic, and there are not many of them left with a garage like that and a hip roof with the tongue and groove and this sort of design. So I'm worried about losing this structure, and the other buildings on the street, this would become if we demoed it, this would become a very long, skinny lot, and I'm mixed about my feeling about the demolition.
all right, I just got the hashtag, which I will read to you because it's important. Angus and Michael and Jason and Mickey, Lucy Dillon were there. It is a contributing building. They state that, like, the north elevation stuff doesn't matter. It says, we believe this is among the first garages on the island and will change the streetscape if removed. Cars were not allowed on the island until 1918. We would be fine with removal of later rear addition, but not the garage at the street. What is the policy? HDC once said that need to show what was happening if a demo is allowed in an OHD. So no empty spot and known going into place. This is true. To remove a building from the OHD, we have to have what is going to go in place at the same time as the demo is approved. They, HACCP is not for the demo of the garage. They have no problem with demoing the rear of the building. So we'll go on that premise.
Well, do you wanna look at what's going in its place at the
Do you
same
have-
time?
Well, I think the guidance we got from the last meeting was,
we do have an application to replace what's there.
Yeah,
As you
new dwelling.
say is needed. We paid some homage to the garage. I don't think HSAB has proof that it's contributing. I think they believe it is, other than.
They do pretty much proof when they
But
say a
it's-
building
we don't
is
know what it
contributing.
looked like back in the day. It looks much different, I'm sure, and not really what is there now. Corrugated metal is maybe contributing, I don't know. So our thought was to pay some homage to it, and more or less, it's a very not sound-worthy building of any means in our minds, and we're replacing, the streetscape will change, of course. There's plenty of garages we find in downtown that's been removed from, that are older.
Not
Well,
older than this one.
They're
That's-
right behind us, there used to be a storage, very large garage on the, according to the map. It's no
That
longer
may,
there.
that may be, but this is a historic garage
Okay.
that was pretty well known to be there, at least in 1918, because that's when cars were allowed to be here. And just to tell you, if HACCP says something is contributing, they have taken the time to look it up and stuff. They don't just sort of casually say, oh, this is a contributing building.
Okay.
That's why they're an advisory board. So, Abby, you got some questions that you'd like?
No, I just wanted, I had set I am not in favor of this application for the reasons I just stated. I believe it's a historic structure. It's one of the old, it's probably, I don't know what the date of it is, but I don't think demoing this building. I'd rather see it restored. Get creative. Think of, nobody's going to oppose the corrugated back of it. But the front is clearly historic, so that's what we're here for. This is our board,
Right.
so.
And may I ask,
No, we let the commissioners all speak first, please.
I'm just going over our minutes that
Okay.
over this December and January. Basically what it's saying is that we're concerned about it and that we wanted to see some drawings, and keep the feel of the original building, so I would just move forward to look at the next building.
All right, without making a decision on this, Val?
Yeah, I agree with him, and I also think, once we've had a chance to look at that, we send it back to HSAB for their comments on the new structure.
Yes, I would definitely do that. Johnny?
Madam Chairperson. Quite a bit of photo here, the last page shows the two doors. The only thing that is, I'll say, agreeable in my mind is to be built here, what this garage, when it was built. This Terry built this back in 1950s. Father had a barber shop around on Federal Street. And the only thing is, within any entrance, old architecture on this building, is the garage doors only. Right? The other side of it, in the back of it, Mr. Curry put that addition on the back of the 50 for the back of the garage.
Right,
Yeah,
that was stated in the, in the
And-
history.
And it is significant here, it should not be removed because of its age and its deterioration. Thank you.
Okay, I agree with Abby. I think it's a historic contributing building. I think that the garage, original garage part, I would like to see remain. They have cleared the way to remove the back part, and it can work with maintaining the shape of the, I think you can work with maintaining the shape of the garage, and, it's part of that original streetscape. So, I don't know whether technically we should hold it until we look at the new dwelling, and or make a vote on it now as to what people want to do.
Well, you can certainly look at the new building.
Okay, why don't we look at the new building before we make a final decision on the garage?
Yeah, discussion of that.
There you go.
This,
That's signed, been signed. I've done my duty. This is what they want to put in where the garage is.
I do have a question for you. How is this giving a nod to the building that's there?
We kind of replicated the garage doors and the paneling below the windows and the size of the windows to which the garage doors are there now. So that kind of is our homage.
The garage doors with the,
V groove,
right, where's,
panels.
I don't see.
So below the windows, I didn't draw any V groove, those get the V groove.
You're talking about those 6 panels underneath
Yeah.
the windows? You think that, okay.
I don't know, how are we doing this? Are we gonna make comments, or are we gonna, what are we doing?
Well,
We
it's kind
are-
of backwards for me because I'm not in favor of the demo, so.
Right.
I don't know where I help out with the new building.
We have to, we wanted to look at the new building to see whether we felt it would fit in to where the garage is. If it didn't fit into where the garage is, then we would not okay the garage demo. And we would have to take a vote on those in favor of the demo and those not. Then, that being decided, if it is decided that the garage will be demoed, then we would comment on the house. If we decide that the garage shouldn't be demoed, then the house would go back for further,
Okay.
for revisions. That's how,
Madam
John, is
Chair,
that okay? That's how I figured to be.
So, what's that, you wanna hold the garage and then,
And look at this, and
Sure,
we'll
yeah.
take a vote on whether they want to demo the garage or not. If they don't want to demo the garage, the house will be returned for revisions.
right, yeah, I mean, you obviously need to
And
make a motion on each
if
application.
the board votes to demo the garage, then we would continue now on the house and whatever. That,
how's that giving historic structures?
it will go back to them
Request
before
the demo
it's
be held
finalized.
But if we vote to demo it today,
All revisions.
It has to go back to HACCP before anything is done. If HACCP agrees, then to not being demoed, then it wouldn't, that if we vote,
So I think John's right, I think that probably the back of the house was renovated in the fifties, but the
Right.
front doors,
yes,
the garage doors are not
right.
That's obvious,
This-
okay, I just wanted to make that clear that,
We can do, we can refuse to do the demo and then, for revisions, agree to let the back half go once they re-up another house that includes the garage in the front. I mean,
Madam
that's,
Chair,
yes,
may I make a suggestion?
yeah,
So, we can hold, I just checked this with John, we can hold the demo
right,
along with holding the design of the building
yes,
until we are okay with the design of the building, and then approve both at the same time.
yes, we can do that, and it has to go back to Hashab in between, so that gives us the week or so that we need to have.
Okay.
So, on the beginning, I need a motion to send this back to Hashab before it is acted on.
Do we wanna make any comment before we?
This is just the act of going back to them, that we can approve that. Then we'll take the next thing of demo and the house. Okay?
I'm confused too.
So, what I would recommend is the commission, holds the holds the garage,
Yeah,
for more information or for some other reason. And then review the new dwelling, which you have in front of you as well, and make comments on that.
and then send that whole package down to Hashab. Okay, that's good.
And then you can review the last application. So, that's what I would recommend.
All right, so we need a motion to hold the demo, right?
Correct.
for more historic information.
For more historic.
Well, they already have historic information
Well, we don't,
that was going around.
Sorry, yeah, I should probably clarify too, to hold it as well for, review of the dwelling itself. It sounds as though the commission was obviously wanted to see what was going in place of the garage.
Right.
So, they hold it until comments are made on it. And perhaps,
All right, so we just hold this whole thing and go on to the.
well, I think I would review that courtesy of the applicant for.
Okay, I think everybody said, so do we have,
Motion to hold the garage.
right,
In review of the application in front of us.
for the application, okay, all those in favor of that?
I,
Aye.
Motion to hold the garage for review of the new building.
the demolition of the garage, hold the
We're gonna
demolition,
review the main building next.
yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
All those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, you already. Johnny, are you in favor of holding?
Yes, I'm favor of the motion to,
Okay.
hold the garage and see what the smoke is.
Is any opposed to that motion? No. All right, so that's, a full board is approved that. So the next thing is reviewing the building proposed to go in the space that the garage is in now. Jesse, you want to begin?
I'm just gonna make some broad comments, and then I'll let, the board continue. I think the building's too tall, and I don't think the garage doors are really being represented.
Thank you. Val?
Sure. I think you could potentially put some sort of front facade, which would give more of a nod, and then bump it up in the back, so that it looks, you know, like the building evolved from what was there. The more significant thing to me is when I was riding up and down that street today, is that it seems as though most of those structures are more residential-like, and a storefront is, we're introducing now a storefront, and I had a little bit of concern with that, as opposed to if it had a door and just windows and.
There's no door, there's no commercial.
Well, there's chestnut flowers, but they don't have like a big
Yeah, you
storefront.
just go in like the regular
Yeah.
door. Abby, have you,
Yeah, I think, yes, I would like to see the garage doors used in your new architecture here. So somehow get creative with that. I agree, that it's too tall, and I think also what's making it kind of cumbersome in that really narrow space are the shed dormers on either side of the roof. It's
okay,
making it very chunky at the top, and so I'd like to see use of the garage doors, the height, and the dormers. I don't know what, removed or
Can I ask?
short.
not yet,
Okay,
please.
sure.
Okay, Johnny?
Yeah, I have some comments. First of all, you're gonna have air conditioners, and where you gonna put them?
There'll be air conditioning in the rear, in the very rear of the lot.
My other comment is, go to the east elevation. Those three A windows are much too large for that wall. And we have a basic thing of 50%. Not being, siding material. The other is that, you can put those B windows down there, and if you're highly visible, the, north, east, west, highly visible side,
All right,
no building.
thank you. My,
No, I got more.
oh, I'm sorry.
Right, all right. The storefront window, all right? Now, the application says this here is a new dwelling. Okay, dwelling's upstairs, is it dwelling downstairs?
There may be dwelling upstairs, your application doesn't have a checkbox for new commercial building. So,
Because
I checked
don't-
new dwelling,
I'm only going by what I see in
and
front of
I
me.
actually wrote it building on the application, so.
And what I see in front of me is the fact that the
There's
brick
other.
patio with tables and bar. Okay, I can say right here. Here, what is this?
No.
This is that house, this is
Yes.
the 1 foot
Yeah.
setback is fine up here, on the third floor, the matches
Can they-
requirements.
Store them in the garage.
The roof pitches are not shown, are they?
11, 12,
Oh, I thought the house was a
We
hotel.
don't have any
14.
One twelve, okay, that makes sense.
All right,
A little bit more, please. The D windows, the hoppers,
Yes,
what does that mean?
you come in,
They tip
get
in,
in,
they don't tip out, they tip in.
In.
Hoppers tip in.
In.
Thank you.
Hopper,
No,
not
no,
on.
no, no, it's in a minute.
Yeah. I'll put that on the list, or somebody who makes the most.
These four windows that are on the north elevation, they replicate what's around the corner anyway, going down Pheasant.
Mhm.
That's it, thank you.
Alrighty, for this building, my thoughts are on that the proposed north elevation is not, it does not replicate the garage in any way. I think the building is too tall. I think the two dormers on the west elevation and the east elevation are too heavy and big. You've got as many windows in the dormer as you have on the second floor of the building and in the roof, and I find that to be too heavy, and you got light windows, small windows, the D windows down below. How much land do you have between the south building and the building next to it on Chestnut?
On the east, on the east elevation to the Hawthorne House?
This,
Yeah, the back.
I'm trying to think where the stairs are on your,
we don't have a floor plan.
we
It's
have,
it's roughly 6.5 feet off the property line, the back of the building.
you got what?
It says 6'10".
About 6'10"
6'10".
off the back property line.
Right here,
Okay.
Including the stairs.
but right on the line.
It's right on the line going up, to the north to south. I think you are trying to build too much building in a very small space. What is the square footage of the garage?
The existing garage, I don't have that.
What's the square footage of the new building?
It is, the first floor is,
The garage is 613 square feet.
Thank you.
the new proposed is 563. Or do you, oh, okay. What's on the app?
For the first floor,
Okay,
740,
sorry.
28 by 20.
That's the little,
That's only on the first floor, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think,
what was the garage again?
613.
28 by 20.
I think that, in my opinion, there's just too much area. You're jammed right up against the, other lot line, and Chestnut Street is sort of a funny street. It has gardens and the rest stuff. One of our bigger garden places is right on the corner, and his front door looks like a front door. It doesn't look like a storefront.
Where is this, I'm sorry?
I beg your pardon?
Where?
The chestnut flowers,
Oh, Chestnut Flowers, right. He
Yeah.
made a
and
store
the,
out of it.
going up to, Chestnut House and across the street. Those houses have been there for a long time. And I think that this is too big and modern. It would,
I think it used to be a parking lot next to, as part of Robert's collection, a giant property was built in what was a parking lot. There wasn't a dwelling there. The one
which
with the
building
driveway,
is this?
the one with the driveway that goes down.
Across the street.
No,
Chestnut.
I'm
Street
talking
Inn.
about down at the
Chestnut
other
Street
end
Inn,
of
right?
Chestnut. I'm not talking about what the garage and the parking lot and all that. This is at the other end of the street, right?
Well, it's across the street.
Yeah,
Across the street.
it's across the street, but it's still that end of the street. So the staircase that you are moving, which one is that?
It's on this building.
Yeah, I wanted to say so. Do you have a drawing of what street, what staircase you're removing?
It's on the next
That's
application.
the next
application.
It's next what?
Next
Application.
Oh, because they're all under the same thing. Okay,
I would, motion to hold this for some revisions and to also perhaps have HSAB weigh in on it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that's important. I think this is an opportunity, can I add to that?
Yeah.
With the revisions, is that it's an opportunity for you, I know you're creative, because I've seen your work before, and I think you should take those doors, work them in somewhere, really just,
I tried.
yeah, well, try, give it the,
Old college try.
yeah.
May I ask a couple questions before you move on? In regards to the height, this is quite a bit shorter than the Hawthorne House. The tremendously shorter than the Roberts House store.
But the Roberts House is a hotel on a different area. You're putting this house down.
Well, this is right next door to the Roberts House. It abuts the Roberts House.
Well, okay, you're sort of around the corner where it's part of Chestnut.
We directly abut the back of the Roberts House.
Right.
And the Hawthorne House, both two hotels. So this is going in between the two.
Yeah.
And it's significantly less. I mean, if you look at the streetscape of the rendering I kind of did, it kind of gives you a sense of how much smaller it is. You know,
Well,
I'll take
that's
into
just
consideration.
one of
Absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
things
Just wanna get a
that,
sense.
one of the commissioners
You also,
feel
there's
about.
also what was there, that's there now as well.
Sure.
In looking comparison with the new building that's going in that building, it looks like there could be a little more differentiation.
Sure.
Yeah. I think if you can make the front,
And I think what Val's
Sort of.
idea would
Yeah.
go a long way.
that pushes that facade back, and I personally don't have a problem with the height because of what's next to it.
That was just a concept the very first concept I started with.
We started with it and it just really didn't look very nice.
I didn't think it
so
looked
we
very
tried
good.
to
If you wanted to do
echo
this,
the garage, but make it a little bit more, you know, that would conceivably look
we can make.
worse.
Well,
We can make that look better. We can make
Talk
that look
about,
better.
this is what you're supposed to do. We've
Sure.
given you a hint of what we would like
I just wanted you to see
you
what
to
I
do.
yeah, so that's kind of what the
starting
direction
Okay.
that I thought.
Okay.
Maybe a little less Greek revival with all that trim.
Okay.
But yeah,
And a few less not
Yeah.
said
maybe more
dormers.
porch-like.
Yes,
I had a comment, I missed something. This gentleman just asked,
That doesn't look
you asked what the difference, what's the space between the two buildings, and it's 6 foot, like it's not 4 feet, maybe it's 4 feet. So I don't know what happened there.
my way. It's like, what's that game, buddy?
Yeah, you're at,
Curling.
you're at, 1 in 60 scale.
It was escaping it.
Supposed to be coordinated.
Something me too.
Not, this is the site plan, so we usually do that at a bigger scale. It's a site plan, the floor plan is this quarter scale. But we wouldn't be able to fit all this.
Are you thinking it's 4 feet or is it gonna be 6 feet?
It's 6 feet.
Okay, so you have to make a change of it, that's all. You mark it 6 feet, it's not 6 feet.
It's 6.5 inch, and it is 6.5 inch.
I don't.
I know, I'm saying this is the wrong, this is the
Steve.
wrong scale. You're using the wrong, this is the wrong.
This should be a quarter inch.
no, not a site plan.
Okay, sure.
Johnny,
We've
just,
talked about this before.
just tell them
Okay.
what you want and they will jot it
Sure.
down.
I will do, yep.
Did we,
So he finished the motion. Oh,
I second that motion.
okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye. Anybody against it? Okay. And the next, so that is held under revisions and
Understood.
review and it's going back to HACCP, so make sure that all your figures add up. We need a window schedule
Oh, yeah, and it's a floor plan.
and a floor plan, so we have some idea. We don't tell you what you can do inside, but it gives us,
I thought I had included, I apologize.
yeah, that's
Yep,
all right.
Understood.
So the next one is, the other building with removal of deck and staircase.
I also think maybe HSAP should weigh in on this one.
Yeah, I think
Well-
they should do the whole corner, don't you?
We've never seen this.
No, not taking this off, no.
That's what's there now.
we know any history about this, the Chestnut House?
I pulled some maps, some Sanborn's maps out, and the porch was on it recently, but not prior. And I included them in the application.
The side porch,
I looked for photos, but didn't find any. From Chestnut Street, it said Chestnut Street, but it didn't look like Chestnut Street. It looked like some mansard roofs. So from HSA. But the Sanborn map will show the porch. I don't have in front of me the 1 year and then previously not. So it was a more recent picture.
this was,
Contributing according
yeah,
to this.
and that was built after the fire by
Oh, here's
Clay
another page.
Lancaster. So that porch was, this you should find in Clay Lancaster's book. Did you look in there?
I'm sorry?
I said, did you look in Clay Lancaster's book
I did not.
on architecture of Nantucket? It is, from reading this slip, it is in there, it's page 171. And the building isn't changed, you're not moving it or anything like that. So,
It's really some fenestration changes to the west and south facade, and then in the fire escape that's currently there, just reconstructing. But obviously the biggest concern for you would probably be the porch that's there,
you want,
the side porch.
you wanna take the side porch off?
It's not currently used to access the building at all.
The, what you want to do is write that all down. It's going to go to, Hashab, so we'll have to look. I don't have a more specific date. There may be one in Clay's book. But it says the ownership history was, it was built after the 1846 fire. So that should give you some idea. It doesn't say what its use originally or anything was, but it does say that it's presently a guest house. Did you look, and maybe I'm just thinking, if this is going to be a restaurant, you're going to have a kitchen, a professional kitchen?
The new building, yes.
The new building. Just check and see, or maybe Val or you two would know whether you have to have a certain distance between buildings if they are very close and one is the restaurant and one isn't. With the fire code, I just don't know what the new fire code is, but I worry when they put that, some of the restaurants downtown like Dune and whatever that they were building in somebody else's back pocket, they had to move a little because they were too close.
Gotcha.
Just a warning of
Thank you.
what you may find. And so what would anybody choose to do with the removal of the porch and the reciting of the staircase, or are you taking that staircase down to the second floor?
It just
It comes from
revamping
the third
it.
floor and it's being rebuilt in a way so there's a little wart on the back of,
Yeah.
of it that we're removing.
Yeah.
And we want to wrap it down and rebuild it so it makes.
Okay, so
not
you're
chopped
removing
up.
a little wart from the
We're removing it from the building.
from the building.
Yep.
Totally, which wart?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Which,
If you look at the, say the site plan on the cover page of existing, there's an existing demo, you can kind of see how there's a little deck, upstairs deck there, to be demoed.
I see you taking two decks off, right?
Yes,
Is that, oh, wait a minute, is that one of them?
yes.
Here
As built.
and here.
That's what it
Up,
looks like now.
up in that second floor, I thought he was,
Looks like now.
what is that?
And there's this- there's
Is
this
that the
deck here,
staircase?
Yeah, it's here now,
and then
Yeah.
we're saying, get rid of that.
and
Have this wrap up.
doesn't really show what
No.
the wart is.
Maybe where are you on wart removal?
The wart removal, well, I'm sort of, I'm wondering if we couldn't keep all the old, appendages in the old garage. Could you combine them with some connector in the back where you could have a lot of exciting stuff, new stuff going on, but you would leave the front as it is, and somehow connect the two buildings in the back? If you own both of them.
Back here.
This is Marty.
Yeah,
Not much. Yes,
Well,
So-
they did that on, Broad Street, they had an old building there, and they put in a new one, and they put a connector between the two.
On Broad Street.
Yeah, Graydon House.
well, in attempting to kind of preserve the footprint of the garage, and it seemed to make sense to keep them separate as opposed to joining them together. And originally, we even looked at that, but that kind of would destroy the whole idea of the garage having been a separate structure. So what we were trying to do is echo it having been a garage and a facade, but then clear some space in between the two buildings to create some flow into the back. Right now, the back is just kind of, there's no, it doesn't get used.
it's, well, it's
Well,
what,
it could be, that's where you could do all your renovating, and you could, no one could see it, so if there was one door that you went through and then you go into this back, I don't know what I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's all possible, because they did it at Graydon House, and they did it with that old building on the corner, remember the
right,
old
oh yeah,
fellow?
Doctor,
What's his
Who's he
name?
one thing I just bring to your attention, like on your west elevation, you have the house and the garage and the staircase coming down, and then you have in the inner circle sort of those houses, everything is sort of down one story. If this is going to be like a restaurant, you might want to take it around the corner and have it a one story in there without putting the hotel type rooms on top of it. Do you know what I mean? It gives a little air. If you put a building as big as the one that you showed me with the west side with the dormer on it, that's a tall drink of water to put right there. That part of the old historic district really, it does have the old hotels, but it has smaller ones too. This is not saying you have to, this is giving you an idea of what the revisions are, because I believe I have a motion to hold for revisions, and this will be submitted to Hashab also. Okay? All those in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No, thank you very much. I know it's difficult,
It is.
and,
Thank you for your time.
all of us sort of know
Look
their
forward to
house
seeing
pretty
you here
well.
again.
The Carl's across the street, she was a marvelous painter and rug hooker, and so the houses got seen more than usual as the interior went on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next one is Joe here? No, Doug.
I'm here. So, Maurice, we're getting out of here by 7:30.
Yeah, don't say it.
The task expands to fit the time. You gotta set the time shorter.
I'm aware.
Why don't we just say 6:30? I want it to be somewhat realistic, so it registers in our mind. Every time we say that.
Yeah, just,
We did 8:15 last time.
I know, but we already.
I said it at 8 earlier.
What's his name came in who hadn't been here?
Yeah.
I wasn't even here.
Yeah, that was
Did you
tough.
get sick?
I had your number and I was like, someone else was gonna do it.
Okay,
Tori was.
can we do this? I went and looked at the staircase. behind the Whaling Museum.
Could you wait for John, cause he's doing the typing?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even look.
Next week.
Hey, Tim.
You got a cold?
I mean,
just taking hormones so I get a deep voice.
Who is that saying that?
Joe, it's doing something here, though.
Okay,
All right.
Sitting, Coombs, Camp, Oliver, Watterson, Dutra, alternate Welch.
I think this was just held for review.
Yeah, to see what the,
The Whaling
Spray.
Museum galvanized stair looked like.
I didn't hear it. Am I on this or no?
Yeah.
Alternate.
And I did go by and see that, and if that's what the material is you're telling me, I no longer have a concern with it being black or what you're proposing.
Okay, the lower maintenance of just.
The galvanized, yes. It was good to see it, and thank you for pointing that out. That's just my opinion.
I did bring photos if you guys want to
Yeah.
refresh.
no, it went, we looked, it was the,
Okay. Thank you.
Abby,
Yes,
you're on,
I'm in.
good,
No concerns.
one, okay.
I'm galvanized.
I'm recusing.
Okay.
I don't think
I'll make
that
a
you're
motion.
honest.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, all those in favor of Abby's motion to approve the staircase for the American Legion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Aye, aye,
Oy.
aye.
One less headache for you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much for your understanding and your time.
Doug, you actually got one that you came to and you were able to be heard. It doesn't happen often. Usually it
Yeah,
gets
and
connected.
suddenly it's over.
Well, I like this.
Oh, you like to come?
He likes the entertainment.
Bring popcorn next time.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Terry, you want to be a typical client?
You should be getting some money from CPC.
Can I grab this name tag? Welcome, Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you.
Call me John.
Doug, do you do just this sort of thing, or do you doing some of the brickwork and stuff that the American Legion asked for from CPC?
No, I was not involved in
Okay.
the exterior of the structure.
All right,
The repointing,
yeah,
what about it?
I just wondered if you were done, or was
Yes.
this another wall to do?
I think they've completed the rear wall, the one where there's this much space.
Yeah, I know they completed the one where you have to stand like this and work.
Yeah.
Next.
Okay,
Satisfied?
hello,
Welcome.
Hello. How are you?
so this is 70 Orange.
Terry. Terry. With me is
I
Julie
think
Biondi.
he just,
Julie Biondi.
what's his name, just not that well,
Is
Yeah,
that
I'll
Bondi or
make that
Biondi?
announcement.
B-I.
when we get to it.
B-I-O-N-D.
all right, then we can call to him.
Somebody's been typing Bondi.
Actually, what it means in Italian, so it's not that far off.
Alrighty, so would you like to tell us what you're planning?
So on the north elevation, there's an existing shed, storage shed. We wanna expand that to the west, about 4 feet, and reconfigure that space, to be part of the new living room. And then on the south elevation, we want to change the shed, mudroom, laundry room, access from.
This is just a map. No?
Any elevation, so.
I have got, Hashtag state two.
We don't even have a picture of it though?
Is, HACCP has said that they have no concerns for 70 Orange Street.
Oh, that's for the shed.
I know, I just wondered what the shed looks like, it's just a map.
There should be photos of that.
That's to relocate the shed?
Yes, So we're gonna rotate that 90 degrees and put it closer to the street.
Oh, I remember that.
We haven't heard it yet.
I heard,
No,
no, we haven't heard it, but I remember hearing that that's what he wanted to do.
Well, we don't know what it looks like, but
How we do,
I guess if they.
do we know how close it's getting to the street?
She's moving it from where it is close to the street, it looks like,
And turning it.
they're turning it
to farther back. Is that right?
the other way. It's there now, it's gonna go the other way.
It's going toward the street? Well, then I really would like to see it.
Yeah, there's the locus now.
So this is where we wanna go, cause this is existing. This is proposed, and then this is the existing.
So how many feet are you moving?
They got some pictures of
We're
the
literally
shed.
gonna rotate it from here,
Yeah,
and just rotate it.
This is
So that
existing.
Keep in the corner everywhere it's at.
You approved these back in. way
So the
back.
little door faces the house?
Yep. Shed,
No,
what we wanna do is
Yeah.
create more backyard, so that's why we decided to rotate it.
Shed look like.
It's in the photograph.
Well,
So which one
we
is
didn't all get
existing, which one's-
photographs.
I didn't get the photograph,
which is,
We're just taking that and on that back corner, rotating that.
so,
I think it's too close.
so this is proposed.
That's
Yeah.
proposed.
John, who's what does the board do?
This was held, it wasn't open, so.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So just rotate it, just see it right there?
So, it's TJ.
Been twisted.
I haven't seen the photos yet.
I have neither. Are those, Joe, are those the only ones you got?
Yeah, that's
Right here.
This you're turning, so
We're
this
just
is,
turning it 90 degrees.
so this is gonna face in
So they're
there,
gonna turn this
right?
shed
And
90
then the
degrees.
door that the
So that this stuff
advisory board wants, we're gonna put
is
that
here.
shed door, and that's coming up. We're gonna put that on there.
So that's what's gonna happen with the shed.
Okay,
The skylights are existing, yep. Nothing to do with the house. Oh, they aren't?
No.
Oh, I take it back. That's in a subsequent application. This
That's coming up
application is
next.
only for the shed.
But this was approved.
No, no, no.
It's behind the
This-
hedge, right?
This is the next application that you're gonna hear tonight. Right now, we're just dealing with the shed.
okay, do you have anything to say, Johnny?
Well, no, they just turned the building. Now, what is that building gonna put towards the street? When he does the gable.
Just a gable, just changing it.
The picture's in just a second.
You're gonna take the picture.
Yep.
Okay. What is here, what we see here?
There's a little window on the gable, and there's a little French door.
Does this here, does this gate, this here, go towards the street?
Here, John. This will be facing the building.
Right.
And then this will face, with the small window, faces the street. This will face the street.
Thank you, that's it, right?
Do you wanna see these ladies?
No, we looked at them.
Okay, are you finished, Johnny?
Motion approved, submitted.
Well, nobody else has got to talk yet. TJ,
I'm fine with it.
Abby,
I'm okay, but I want that hedge to remain intact.
No problem.
Val,
I'm fine.
so
John made a motion to.
John made a motion to approve as submitted, and we would add just with the vegetation remaining in perpetuity.
Not a problem.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. So the next thing is renovations of the house.
Sorry, Diane. Yes, I know. Sorry, buddy. Thank you for pushing me.
Okay,
Steve?
let me see if I can do this right for once. I'll rehash that first. It says, can diamond light door be reused?
So
Check.
what we wanna do with that door is we wanna save it and put it on the shed.
Okay, it says, check visibility of skylights. it's a contributing building, but they have no other concerns, and the skylights and the, diamond door.
So the skylights you cannot see. We drove around the neighborhood and it can't be seen. It's blocked by the neighbor's house and the other street that's,
And which is the little diamond door they want you?
It faces,
it faces Flock. West.
this was, Mr. Boyce's house for a while.
Okay,
It's on the side piece right there.
right there. And you are going to reuse that, so that answers that question for them.
What are you gonna put, what are you gonna do with what's gonna be the door, if you take that diamond door off, what's going to be there?
Nothing. Right now, it just allows light to go in as people drive down the street.
Okay, so we have nothing of what's happening here, it's all existing.
Well, you have the existing plan, there should be four new plans and one existing plan.
The proposed,
I must have the existing.
where you're taking out one kind of fenestration, and you're just putting shingles in that shed. I think you should have a window or something if you're gonna
Used to be
take
a
out that.
Well, it's now,
rudimentary.
Why
that's
is
a
it taking
storage
them?
space, we wanna use that
Oh,
as
it's-
part of the living room, so. We're just trying to gain as much wall space as possible. Julie has a nice collection of art that she likes to display on the wall.
You removed the chimney for what reason?
It's not being used, it's just, the heating is now direct vent, so, or will be direct vented, so we don't need that.
Well, you know what? Some of us like those old chimneys, even if they're not working, so.
In a contributing building.
Yeah.
We could keep it from the roof going up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
we would go with that.
I mean, it's part of the whole scoping back, the adding on. A lot of them did have fireplaces in the back, so.
John, you want to begin?
I'll hold a minute.
Okay,
Somebody else.
TJ.
Yeah, I agree with what's been said about the chimney, and I wonder about the skylights and what the material and color is,
For the sash?
or for the skylight itself, yeah.
We were gonna do Velux and then we were gonna do a mahogany, piece trim on the top.
Sounds good. I otherwise feel that, the changes are appropriate.
All right, Abby?
I'd like to see the chimney go back, even if it's, just the facade of it. I think I'd like, where you're taking out the door, I think I'd like to see a fenestration of perhaps the windows on the first floor. I don't think we're gonna, thank you for putting mahogany around the skylights, but I don't think we're gonna see them.
I hope not.
And are you putting a new roof on?
Well, new asphalt, yeah, and that rear rail.
And what is that just to match the existing?
Correct, into the correct. The roof? Existing.
There may be a new option after tonight.
There's most of there.
Rate
They have a
frost.
thing for air
Very
conditioning.
nice. It harkens back to
You
the
selling it?
sea foam. No.
Nothing on here yet.
That's all, Madam Chair.
I
Okay,
feel like I am.
Val,
Hey, Joe,
Keep it quick.
can you make the G windows like the F windows instead of what they are? Or a 6 light, even if it's fixed, as opposed, this is kind of an anomaly, the 2 pane,
Yeah.
and that faces the street.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not so concerned with it here, but I just think,
The G's go to 3/3s, is that what you said?
or a 6 light that's fixed, which he has these as fixed windows anyway. Just for the window pattern. That's all I have.
All right. And John, did you come up with what you wanted?
Yes, I have a question in the relationship here. This here says looking north. Right? Looking north that way?
Yeah, so Flock is here.
Huh?
Flock is here. And then you're coming down Orange Street this way. You won't even see this. This is more just where you are.
Well, that's what I'm questioning.
No, you won't see that. No, so then Dover's coming this way. You can't see this from anywhere.
Oh,
Did you
direct line from there, big tree.
Yeah.
No, you can't. What happens is, with this little
That
bump out
is
that's
on the
coming,
north
and this
elevation.
rear L,
G,
which is 2 stories.
That's
Six,
the
six.
street.
This bump out?
Yeah.
This is the little.
Right now, this is, Johnny, when you drive by, this is all. you can see.
Yeah, Dover down.
So you won't even be able to see,
The
and
old
that's from
big
like
shop.
here.
Across
You won't
the
even see
street.
that.
Yeah.
This 2-story mass, this mass, and then you can't get the visual. I really drove by there today and looked at it.
Okay,
Even-
All right, can I get a motion?
he's not done yet, I don't
Oh.
think. Oh, that's a
Way
different
up here.
street.
Way up here. Way up here. So this is old Ramus house? The Ramus's old house?
Another street, yeah.
That was the
So
Nantucket Bake
this
Shop.
is now, well, now the bake shop's next door. This is Flock now.
This is the big shop.
It
Well,
was.
the old bake shop, yeah. So she's right across the street. So you're not gonna see it.
Thank you for the time.
Okay, so can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve through staff with the G windows becoming 6 light or 3/3, Joe's choice. And leaving the chimney on the roof.
Again, with lack of visibility, motion,
And
what?
the skylights are approved due to lack of visibility.
No fenestration on the west, that far wing, the little shed. That's not in your thing, Bob.
Here you go.
Your, motion, not to have a fenestration on that. They took the door out. I suggested a window there, but that's not part of your motion.
It wasn't,
The reason we didn't do that is because of the light from the street. Right now, it's just a door. And if we did a window, it would be constant,
right here.
like a strobe light across my eye. And sound, so that's why we tried to keep the window small.
I don't have an issue with that, but if you guys feel strongly about it, I will add it to my motion.
Well, try it with yours.
Okay,
Can we do a lattice and roses or something?
her.
I treat it something differently. We really don't want the window. I understand what you're saying, but it's gotta carry.
All in
Okay.
favor of my motion?
All in favor of Val's motion that did not include the window, say aye.
Aye.
John was,
Eh,
John wasn't on it?
he was an aye. He just said aye.
Oh.
And,
I'm abstaining.
okay. Well, that's
Oh, do
that's
you
a
have
winning,
the comments?
yeah.
Thank
All right,
you,
that's a
Joe.
winning.
Thank you.
Val, Abby abstained and John voted. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
The next one is 31 Pilgrim Road.
I was like, why is he asking?
I went by this today and there was a bunch of cedar trees and not planted yet, but soon to be planted.
They're just waiting for a good And those are going in the front, those are going along the road.
Yeah, you can't see it
Yeah,
with
guys,
those there.
There you go, guys. Can you see it?
Not from your pictures.
I agree with you, I drove by, I can't see it either, there's a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
Sitting Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver, Watterson, alternate road.
Did you say Johnny?
Yep.
At
I don't have,
McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver, Watterson, and Welch.
Okay,
Diane, I don't have a problem.
all right,
Is that what you were asking?
Due to
Yeah.
lack of visibility, they'll make sure that's part of it.
so you don't have a problem with the trees, they were selling for $125 a 6-foot tree.
That's a lot.
We need to get into the tree business.
Add up.
can get
I
them
don't
for
know
you for
whether the
65.
dump was selling them, but it was on Facebook.
Probably, well, I'm not
It was whatever day they
Okay.
were giving off.
John?
John, have you got all set with this?
Yeah, my only question was if the boarding is horizontal, it's abnormal.
Yes, we asked that it be
Yeah, that's
No.
why,
perpendicular.
That's why it's not visible,
but because of the trees, we're not gonna be able to see it.
and the garage in front of it.
Well, the
No, you
trees,
can see through the
No,
window.
I just drove by it today.
Not with the trees, Linda, but you could without the trees.
I have a picture here without the trees.
Well, I went up there.
That was my
there's
first,
seventy
that was my
orange.
first shot.
Never mind.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
should I make a motion?
to approve
Yes,
as submitted
as submitted,
with
Due to lack of-
vegetation in perpetuity.
yes, with the vegetation.
Yeah, and due to lack of visibility, that makes me more comfortable as well.
That's my motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
John,
Uh,
is John in favor or opposed?
are you in favor or opposed, Johnny?
You can hear me? Yes.
No, I didn't hear you, otherwise I wouldn't have
Lack of
asked you.
visibility.
See? Okay,
Motion to hold 12,
Thank you, Linda.
13, 14, and 15 per the applicant's request. He does not have a quorum. No, he didn't have a quorum.
where's Accomack Way?
Off the new lane, right at the corner.
Oh,
They're gonna hold
that's, yeah, I know, I
PVCs
just,
Down there.
for representation.
so, we go
12 through
to,
15, are we gonna vote on that?
I, to hold 12 and through 15 until, what, next Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
Approved.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so the next one is East Lincoln with
This one? This
Robbie.
one, this one, and
is he
this
here?
No,
No.
Hold.
Motion to hold for representation?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Can't be.
Okay, so all those in favor of holding 7 East Lincoln, new dwelling,
Holding 16.
Aye.
for representation?
JB, you're up.
This is 9 West Chester Street.
Hey, welcome. Did I see you on a uni board, skateboard today?
Yeah, on wheel.
Yeah.
Right?
One
Yeah.
I
wheel?
love those
Speaking of my
things.
car.
You have the one with the big fat wheel, right?
Yeah, on wheel, yeah. That's good, and I go put my car to the valley and ride it.
Looks like fun,
Yeah.
except for if you've been at the chicken box.
I don't want to buy powder.
What?
Can end up bad.
Yeah.
When you buy powder.
I will.
Yeah.
Would you like the chocolate?
No?
Did this get,
So,
Okay.
you,
They each
you
side?
asked for some changes.
This is 9
Okay.
West Chester.
do you wanna read what the initial comments were by each side?
Yes, this is the initial statement, back on the 8th of April for 9 Westchester. It's contributing. And did you get photos of the existing conditions? Because they
Those-
asked for that. And
those were
north
subject-
elevation shed dormer on main mast obliterates roof plane. Prefer gables from previous approval. 2-story mass addition will be a wall on Wires Lane. East elevation, need those C windows on the first floor. West elevation, no concern. South elevation, window, D window in, addition not appropriate for previous approval, which was a C window. 15 light should be more traditional. A D on 8 left awning, double hung. Door looks like it is floating. That's the full board, that was there, except for Michael
Yeah, so what I
and
did,
Nikki
I
Rowland.
changed those windows, what they didn't like on the south elevation,
No, he did it.
and aligned with the door, it's not floating anymore.
Yeah, that's good.
And,
What
and then I
window did I
changed
tell you they were?
the north dormer
What's
with,
the C windows on the first floor?
with 2 gable dormers infilling with the shed in between. And then just some revisions up to the windows, added window to the east, where there was kind of missing one, so I added one. I think that's it.
They wrote,
Madam Chair,
yeah,
sitting is Coombs, McLaughlin, Camp, Oliver, Welch, and Waters.
okay.
There you go, my friend.
Can I ask you a question? One of the things Hashab said was east elevation, that they need those C windows on the first floor.
But because he had nothing here now,
Yeah,
he's
and now he
added one.
did put down one. Oh, they
added
wanted
one
2
and
like
one.
that. Yep,
So
you
just
are.
because of the staircase, I added one by the landing.
You only wanted to put 1.
Yeah.
You want me to start, Diane?
Yes?
Yes, Madam Chair. I appreciate the changes. I think, though, on the south elevation on the far left, that 15 light door should have a panel on the bottom, so it looks a little bit more, not so sunroomy, but because it's on the front, it's an old house on an old street, it looks a little, sort of, needs to be toned down. I think if you had a panel up half of that, or, yeah, and then I think the C window just above it could be a 9/9, like your other windows on the front, and it would relate, I think that would relate a little bit better to the historic massing. Those are my comments.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I disagree with Abby on that door and making it more of a 12 by 1 panel. Otherwise, the change is inappropriate.
What,
Ditto.
what I was wondering, I guess on the, previous one, the windows in the foundation were, south elevation were 3/3s. You have,
4/4, so
I know they are now.
Now
the
it's,
previous was 4/4.
now it's 6/6
No, they're
on the south
still
elevation,
It
right?
says D
those
windows
windows.
in addition not
Those were-
appropriate, prefer previous approval, which was a C window. That's all I can tell you.
The D,
Which windows
are you
are we
talking
talking
about the
about?
windows in the basement?
I'm talking about this on the south elevation,
Yes.
the windows in the basement.
Yes, they're labeled
Not-
D on my drawing.
They are Ds, but they say that they are not appropriate, they wanted C windows. In the previous application, I guess those D windows were C windows, but I don't see any picture of C windows, so I don't know what are those windows over
It's,
there.
it's not before us, Diane, and
I
he's not
wasn't
changing
changing
them.
those.
Okay,
They're not
well,
doing
they
anything.
must have thought that he was, because they mention it specifically.
I wasn't.
Well, we don't,
I thought we were talking about the window.
And does the
on
door
back
look like
addition.
it's floating?
No. This is the first time they looked at it. They haven't looked at it again since he made changes.
That door looks like, the only door that looks like it might be is this one.
Well, this is what we were talking about before, cause there was no stoop, but he put the stoop there.
Yeah.
There was stoop as well.
This one must have a stoop right,
Dark
right there,
floating door,
it seems
you
like
saying?
a big step,
Because
but,
there was a stoop and then the dark, not stoop.
okay, so, Donnie?
Yes, I have some comment, the, north elevation, it has the dormer, double dormers on the third floor. The D windows are listed as casements, and it should be
Fixed.
It should be 3/3, maybe, they're different. They're casement windows.
Three.
Huh?
Can they be fixed? Fixed
Steve.
windows?
Yes, they can be.
You're
fixed.
next.
You want them fixed?
Oh,
Yeah.
and what is the manufacturer, they true divided light? Doesn't say.
No.
It's funny,
What?
you've got Ds that are 3/3, and you've got Bs that are 4/4s.
That's because those are
What-
existing.
What do you think about the statement in it? Because
They're
the
not
shit
changing.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know where to find
obliterates
the
everything,
thing.
Yeah,
not
so he
changing.
changed it
and
to,
will make, look like a wall, add this and
he
it'll
did
look like a
this,
wall.
he did two
He did break it
gables and
up.
it filled it in.
Okay,
What are the windows?
what kind of TDLs are they?
I don't know yet what is he going to use, but
They will be TDL
they'll have to
though,
be TDL, yeah.
okay.
Everybody have made a statement, I asked you to make a statement?
I was just waiting.
Okay, do that, please.
So, I agree with, on the proposed south elevation, the concept of making that, that door more a traditional panel with maybe a 12 light. The only concern I have with going to a 9/9 on the window above it, perhaps going to a 9/6, is that if you look at the west elevation, so that gable that you see are the two windows on the same floor immediately adjacent to the window you see on the second floor from the south. And then if you go around the building, there are more of them on the second floor of the addition. So having that a 9/9 window is just gonna be a really foreign element. I thought maybe relative to what else is in the addition. So if that were maybe a 9/6, the same proportion of these, because otherwise you're gonna be back, he's gonna be back to change the others, I presume.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
9/6 is a great idea.
And that might be enough that you can get it without having to come back to change these. So if this was a 9/6, I just mentioned that for you guys to consider.
I have no idea.
Then it would relate back.
Where's the
to
9/6?
So Abby had suggested a 9/9 here, which was totally great, but what I was mentioning is that this window is here, and then these windows, and then around the back are 6/6. So if he went with a 9/12 here in the same proportion, then he could probably get away with 6/6 here.
My question though is if he goes to a 9, whatever, is it gonna be too close to the floor?
Well, I was suggesting not making a major change in proportion. That's why a 9/9 would have to be much larger.
Yeah, no, I understand that now, yeah.
Okay, so has everybody said everything? Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve,
Okay,
changing on the south elevation, the far left side door to, I don't know, a panel in the bottom to,
a 15 light with a panel?
no,
It'll be like 9,
like a,
12
I don't know
light.
what it is,
12 light.
it makes it a 12 with a
9
panel?
9 or 12, but not a traditional 9 light, like a side door on.
What about a 12 light with a panel?
Okay, 12 light wins. And then the,
friendly amendment to it.
sure,
The D windows which are visible, that they will become, fixed.
okay,
Instead
and I
of,
think that was okay.
we don't operate.
Yeah.
And then the C window on the far left would be, a 6/9.
Just one?
Yes, it's just one,
Okay,
9/6.
that's the D window.
Become a 9/6.
Is it 9/6 or 6/9? I think it's a 6/9, isn't it?
But you could do either, but a 9/6. could do
I got them in my house as a 6 over 9.
over 9.
Yeah. It's 3,
I would think that it might read this,
better the other way?
yeah, just because I think that the lower sash is subordinate. And it actually sits further in. I mean, it's not like more than 1.5 inches literally, or,
Wouldn't you want the, I just wanna get this right. So
Yeah.
wouldn't you want the bigger, the 9 on the bottom?
well, usually,
No, I thought they were usually
Say
on
9
the
on
top,
the
I
top.
think.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
What the window name is that? I have it,
C.
C,
C
okay,
is changing to a new window that I guess is gonna be 6 on the bottom and 9 on the top,
okay,
But only on the
south elevation.
south elevation.
right, south elevation.
Was there anything else?
No, we got the door with the panel, that becomes the 12 light with the panel. The D window
Those are
becomes fixed, and the C window becomes a 9 over 6. That's what I have. That sound good? Everybody in favor of the
Aye.
thing, say aye, aye. All right. Thank you.
I was just
You wanna
thinking,
change it?
no,
Oh.
I was thinking those other windows on the rear addition, we could have just said 9 over 6 too, and then he doesn't have to do that as an option. He's gotta show that to the client, they're gonna be like, these are windows are all different. He's gonna keep it short. It's gonna be a loop. Okay. So, Bricky, for your love of chimney.
Pat?
Yeah, we got the
Bricky.
chimney in.
That'd be Bricky Camp. ABC.
She loves them too.
I know.
I was the
I
one
don't
who,
even know what
I
that
was the
one-
one who brought it up
I don't
Well,
tonight.
that's why I think of you as Mrs. Claus.
Ah,
Oh,
I'd stomp on your foot.
Where's the plans? I'm waiting for
what are we talking about?
Huh?
Oh, I don't, you know what, that might have been Parch.
Yeah.
What's your face there, Steve?
What date was that? What's that?
I think that might have been Parch on that, on Orange Street, that one. I
Oh,
don't even
yeah.
know if it was. You can't call it, you have to call them Parch.
Hard day.
I'll let you know when I'm talking about it.
Hard to do.
There you go.
I think that was the 23rd.
That's them. What is this now?
Sitting in Coombs, Camp, Oliver, and Welch.
Boom. Can. Oliver. Well. Very good.
Should I go, Madam Chair?
Yes, please do.
Alright, so, I've submitted photographs for everybody, the neighborhood, kind of more street side. I'm gonna just copy too, if you need, but I think it's the same thing. So you can kind of see that there's pretty varied scale,
It makes
as
it
far
hard
as the
for
neighborhood
them
is
to
concerned.
cover.
And,
Order in the court.
chatter going on.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, just a minute.
Please
I'm
come
trying to
to
get
order.
everybody quiet.
Yeah.
All right.
No problem. So, I submitted photographs of the neighborhood, but you can see that it's pretty mixed, architectural styles. There's commercial, there's larger scale residential, there's larger scale commercial, so it's pretty, varied, if you will. This structure sits way back at the end of the lot. We're still working on the front, office design, but I just think that there may be some visibility from a distance, but even still, it doesn't really bother me, because I think that, it's a rural looking structure. So, I'll just go through the changes really quickly, Madam Chair. So on A101, west elevation, so we did just run that entire, it's not really a farmer's porch, but it was kind of that bump out. We run it all the way across, which I thought was kind of a good addition there. We added a single door, as opposed to the two on the side, so you come in one point of entry and then go left or right. I played around with the fenestration sizes a little bit, just so it's a little bit more uniform, which I think helps. backside, which you can actually look at the south elevation or the north, we added some pent roofs off the backside. There will be some vegetation between the two units, just so that it's not such a vertical structure. I thought that that actually helped. Again, the visibility of this from behind, I just don't think you're gonna see it unless you're on someone else's property. Finally, just made a tweak to the proportion of that cupola. We had basically a vent, kind of a weather vane type situation. I thought this was a little bit more successful, so with that, oh, yeah, and then the photographs you'd asked for, so those are changes, Madam Chair, thank you.
All right, thank you. You want to begin?
Sure. Matt, appreciate the changes. I think that given the context, well, first of all, I think it's a nice design. I think secondly, given the context of this area, it's more than appropriate, and in fact, a general improvement to a lot of the structures. I have no concerns.
All righty. Valerie?
Yeah, I echo that. Thank you, Matt, for the changes. For me, the west elevation's hugely improved, and I think that the pent roofs do help mitigate the wall on the east, and also on the side sort of give it a little bit more, body, so it doesn't seem so, right.
Abby?
Why do you have that trim, where you took the door out, why do you have that trim piece still there when you've got the vertical board stuff? Like, I think it's just, why is this still here? Wouldn't you trim boards just?
Actually, because there's like a little covered porch portion here, so this is all open.
I did.
I think it's, I think you're right, I think it's reading a little wider, it still seems very vertical to me. And, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I still think it seems vertical, but, I'll go with the rest of the board on this,
It does, but I think there are gonna be enough, perhaps buildings around it that we're gonna break it up.
Yeah.
Val,
I went.
you went, everybody went, Johnny's not on it. I went. What I think is sort of fun, because I was driving around there, is that, I don't know if you remember back maybe 10 years when it was the Wacky Land.
Yeah.
And there were houses, all kinds, all over. So it's not like it's ever been a traditional neighborhood. It looks like sort of, I think maybe when it's finished, it will look more like it did originally, which we all got so used to that it wasn't.
There's a lot going on, but there's actually some nice stuff. It's interesting. It's obviously a commercial mixed use, so.
Motion to approve is submitted.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The next one is another commercial building in Hannibia. Hannibia. Hannibia, that's what it really is. There you go. Is this been opened, is this the same board? Yes? Yes.
Oh, you weren't on it. Don't sign it. Nice catch.
Now, well, I'm gonna get it.
We have Coombs, Camp, Oliver, Welch.
That's the same board, okay. It must have been late on Tuesday. Oh, I haven't seen the pictures. All right,
Should I, go, Madam Chair?
yes, do tell us what.
Sure, thank you. So, on A201, what we did is we actually dropped the building height by, I wanna say, 3 feet. So, we're still over 30, my eyes are going, I think it's for 32.8, is that what the overall ridge height is? My type is so small.
What was it on the,
Should be on the elevation.
original?
But anyways, we dropped the overall height, like you had said, of the main mass of the building.
Okay, you brought it down,
It's not, it's the same, Matt.
Should be lower.
It says 3411 on the application, and it says 3411 on today's.
so they lowered the top plate by 18 inches.
I'm almost certain, we took the main mass and lowered it. Originally, we just stepped it down. Yeah.
It looks like,
3411.
yeah, it's
Still
measuring like,
3411.
well,
One drawing is the
wait,
other.
what, are you talking about to the top of the gable?
Yeah, the overall ridge height, we did almost certain.
So the south,
It was taller before.
the
It's
south and the east are
33.8.
labeled differently.
Yes, but they both, well,
Does that scale up to 3411?
yeah.
I think it was like closer to like 38 originally.
We definitely dropped it. I don't know what the original, HTC application is, but we definitely took, at least 3 feet out of it.
33.8.
What's its scale in this?
Basically 34 or something like that, somewhere in that range. I think when we started off, it was closer to 38. We
It's
can go
just
up to
below
40.
30, it's just below 34, yeah.
Yeah.
33.8.
So I
So
think
it's
originally
just
when we
mislabeled?
I don't know if it's,
It says 3411.
Your south
but I think when we
elevation.
originally submitted it, it was closer to 38, so I don't
So-
understand.
Okay, so this,
Should
just
we
to be clear,
approve
the
it as
south elevation is
3311?
33.8,
Yeah, this is
just so we all have the same information.
34,
34,
just 34 feet, period.
We can call it
so then
33.8,
34,
call it 34.
okay, just so we're talking about the same.
But what does the dimension string say there?
One says 3411, one says 33.8. To the same ridge, from the same grade side. 33.8, 3411. Now they both say 34.
33.8.
Yeah, I think the 33.8 was it. But,
Yeah, sorry about that.
okay. So for sake of discussion, we have a number.
Whatever.
33.8.
It scales off at 33.8.
I wouldn't, I just not gonna approve something in 40 feet.
Right.
Val, did you,
Sorry for that confusion. I really don't know what,
It's all right.
elevation.
Matt, I appreciate that you've lowered it.
Yeah.
I still think it's out of scale.
We also submitted photographs.
I know, I
of the
see
area
that,
that you had requested.
but these also seem to have more windows, window versus wall plane. The little bump on the front, for me, is just, it's just to say you did, it's really not bringing it down in my mind's eye. And I still think that the cupola just makes it seem that much more vertical. I think you could maybe use bigger windows on the second floor.
So just to be clear, so what height is everybody comfortable, or you Val in particular, like, is it 32? I mean, right now we're at 34, we started off at like 38. And I apologize for that dimension string confusion. But is it 32? Is it 30?
I would, if I had my best brothers, would say 30 feet, because I think once we start itching up, we're gonna have a whole bunch of 40 footers in there, and that's not what we are. So 30 feet would be mine, and get the shove on the thing, I would, I guess, go up to 32 if, on an individual case, not because the house next door was 32.
Sure. Okay, that's helpful.
That's just an opinion. Yes, please do.
So, Matt, I would agree with a lot of the comments. I think definitely oversize your window, your penetration windows and doors.
Second floor.
Yeah, even, I think the first floor, and is that a 7'6" door now? Your, service door? On the east elevation? Is it?
Yeah, much lower.
So break out the 9'6". So that might be one way of trying to mitigate the overall scale. The other thing I have a concern about is, I think if you came down 30 to 30, then the cupola would be more acceptable personally. I think if it's above 31, 32, no. I think if there was some way to mitigate along, my concern about the east elevation is actually that is going to be, I think, one of the strongest perceptions of a very large building. And I don't know if there's anything you can do to break that up. And the reason I say it's going to be the strongest perception is that's the side that's got the side setback from the property line of probably, what, 25 feet or something for the 30 feet for the driveway?
20, yeah, something like that.
So I don't know if there's, I'm not suggesting you put lipstick on it with pent roof, but I'm wondering if, I mean, is there a shed, is this like asking for a shed roof drive-through driveway, or is there?
We could do a drive-through if you want.
I don't know, I might.
Like a takeout window or something.
I don't know, but a covered.
Yeah, I know, actually, I think that if you think that that elevation is gonna be, there's probably a way, it wouldn't hurt to the east. And actually, even if I took that center window and made that a door.
Yeah, and put a roof over it.
I don't think if that helps us out, but I'll try that.
So those are my comments.
All right, everybody's talked, I'll just say what I think. Did you talk?
No, I didn't go, but I wanted to ask, were you talking about making the B windows bigger on the
Yes.
second floor? Okay, good. 'Cause
I am
I
too.
like to see those bigger, and, whatever height you can take out of it, I'm fine with, and I'm okay with the cupola. Is this next door?
Yeah, I saw.
It's kind of behind.
Right there.
So it's in the neighborhood, okay.
Yeah, a lot of big buildings.
Yeah, but they're
I
all
think those-
30.
I think those windows need to be a good size, bigger, and maybe, I don't know, not right up under the roof. It brings your eye right up to that roof
Sure.
line.
The itty bitty size
Yeah.
is contributing to it looking very
The
tall.
second floor windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Okay.
need to be a regular size, I think. So we would hold,
Motion to hold for some revisions.
already,
All right.
all those in favor? Aye.
Just trying to
Alrighty.
keep you guys on your toes.
And we got Jefferson Ave,
I don't know what, I don't actually know how it's like allowed to appeal, because it's.
Yeah, it's the same.
a big model, so.
40 Jefferson Ave.
CAD. They don't call it CAD for no reason.
Yeah, I got your back, man.
Don't you look at me like that. She was giving me the hairy eyeball.
Don't mess with my mom.
She's like, get her out of here by 7:30.
That's all I need.
We're gonna do that.
All the cats away.
Okay,
Start whenever you're ready.
new dwelling, 40 Jefferson.
Yep. Actually, have some just perspectives. I thought it would be helpful.
Oh, what, is it the same old board?
Oh, it is Toombs, Camp, Oliver, and Welch.
Wow, we're on a roll.
We must have been late one Tuesday night,
No.
and we were the only ones still here.
Let's jump right into it. So, A 2.1, probably the best, because it's got the elevations on there. The first thing we did was, on the east elevation, we omitted the triple French doors, just wanted a single French door and flanked with 2 windows, which they happened to suggest that. You'd also asked us to pick a door that was more period appropriate, which we took a run at it. I don't know if that's appropriate.
Yes, definitely.
The actually took the whole garage mass and pushed that back. You can see that if you look at the site plan, or you can just see, we pushed that whole garage piece back, which I thought was a great idea. Those are the primary changes. You know, one thing I also wanted to point out, and I think the perspectives should help show that, is the, you know, relationship of the 38 Jefferson is about 4 feet higher in terms of its grade. The grade just kind of goes up about 4 feet. And then you've got that existing house that's at least 30 feet tall. And so the idea here was that you have that house that's kind of up on the hill and has some vertical, you know, pieces to it. And then the topo drops down. And so we actually really wanted to actually have a one-story element both on the road and actually at that transition point between, you know, the two structures, if you will. And then it kind of pops up, and the massing, the primary massing is essentially, you know, the main you know, hip, if you will, and then the secondary additive piece. Secondary additive piece is actually adjacent to the next door neighbor. That is, it's not quite a, the second floor plate height is probably about 6 feet. It reads as a fairly tall, it's a small footprint, but it's kind of a vertical structure. So the way that these all play off each other, I think works out pretty well. Anyways, hopefully the renderings, the perspectives help. With
Can I
that,
just ask you one
sure.
question? Is the next door neighbor owned by the same guy, or is
No.
it's another guy?
38 Jefferson is,
Yeah,
and 40 is in the same ownership. The building next door is not.
okay.
But
I knew there
it's existing. And
was something. Steve, you want to begin?
Yeah, I guess Matt, I think, well, I'm not actually ready to begin, but I'll make a comment. On the, obviously the east elevation is what's visible from the street. I think due to the width of this structure, there's not gonna be a tunnels. These sides oblique angles. Having said that, I'm just wondering, can you, it looks in your, I don't know what your program is other than what's in the floor plan, but it looks as if that garage could be shifted back a little bit more, that, not just the garage, but perhaps, I guess it'll mess with your secondary roof. I'm thinking that mudroom structure too.
the connector piece.
Yeah, just to shift that back so it's a little less, there's a lot of detail there, and I think with respect to your roof, the way your roof design is, and I think that if you could bring that back a couple more feet, it would help.
Probably
Are you talking about the west elevation?
The east elevation with respect to the garage, so the upper left, right of A21.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that whole plane would shift back, the garage plane would shift back a couple of feet, and as well as the connector to the left of it. So it creates a sense of a secondary mass with respect to the depth and not just the height.
I could move it
Gotcha.
back. I could definitely move it back.
You got enough room to do that?
I'd have to noodle with a plan, but I'm almost certain. The key is, I think, as long as I can get, yeah, I don't see why that would be a problem.
And I'm not trying to redesign your design, I'm
No,
trying to address that sense of secondary mass and also just all the detail that's there.
We moved it, but we can move it another 2 feet. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, there's just a lot of really appropriate aspects to this, especially within the context of the other structures in the area. And I like the bracelet. I like, and when I say like, I mean personally, but I also feel it's appropriate. The front door, the bracelet window.
Thank you. Val?
I agree with Steve about maybe pushing that back. The other one bugaboo for me is the little C window and the connector piece. At least on the east, you can leave it on the west because no one will see it. It just seems like that's such a complicated little area.
I know, and I really, for whether it matters or not, I mean, I looked at it without it, and I know it's complicated, but it's just this like little nugget that I just can't seem to let go, right?
Oh.
You know what I mean? I totally get this, but I feel like it's, and that's why I want to show you the perspectives, because it does kind of fade away, and and there's actually a decent view out that way too. And I looked at, so Val, I also looked at like reducing the width of the window or trying to do a different window, and then everything looked, the window, I tried to go with a narrower window to kind of make it less, and it looked, the proportions didn't look right. It almost drew more attention to it, so, I don't
Well-
know. But I did look at that, just,
I'm sure you'll pick out a good thing. Abby?
I like Steve's suggestion of pushing it back as much as you possibly could, but I think the garage window doors are still too noisy, and I think pushing it back is going to help, but I was wondering if they could either be all, big roof, or a simpler version of those big, square windows. I mean, I like them, but they're right on the front of the house and sort of taking away from the.
They're horizontal too.
So you go less.
If you, maybe a row of transoms at the
I
top.
could
but-
do 3 and then change, like, take that lock rail, raise it up like higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then go with 3,
Yeah, that'd be a lot quieter, and what, I can't remember the color, is it gray?
like,
Everything down there.
And so the door is white too?
right now it is,
Trim on the whole building is white.
yeah. We did across the street, actually, whatever the front door color is, we matched the garage doors to just mix it up a little bit. But also, I'm hesitant to use natural, just with urethane to cracks and get discoloration. Yeah.
Down there.
I wouldn't do natural.
Down there is
It's attached to
hard.
the house. It's gotta look like the house.
So, what, may we have a motion to hold for slight revisions?
Did everybody speak?
Yes, there's only 4 of us.
Oh,
Slight revision.
So moved.
All those in favor? Good.
Yeah, please think about the color, I think that can make a difference.
Yeah, for the door.
Yeah, and then, I don't know if you know, but on your rendering, the door fenestration the sash the glass did not show up.
Yeah.
It may just be it's not a, yeah.
Okay, so the next one is the cabana.
Oh, worries.
Rob Newman's here.
Yes, I saw that.
Okay.
6:36.
If you leave and come back, do they still get to be heard?
That's number 28.
Cabana.
Rob Newman really here?
Not really,
He's right
no.
behind you.
Holy smokes. On Nantucket?
Pop these cans tonight.
All right. This is the cabana. What'd they change?
So.
What'd you
Jerry,
change here,
you
Matt?
basically asked us to change the window style to match the main house.
Okay,
So that's what we
instead
did.
of the 12, we'll have 4s.
Yeah.
And I think we asked to take away some of those little roof elements because it's so complicated for a little structure.
You did mention the gables, there's some people
Yeah.
have mentioned some of the gables, but,
Yeah, didn't we say take that?
No, the gable, little gables.
I'm actually okay with I agree, Matt, I think it's complicated for a little structure, but given the depth of the lot and the fact that it's not visible, it's just not.
And it's going next to.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, none of those are directly visible, so I don't have a concern personally, but I do agree that it does make a little structure look very complicated.
Madam Chair, could I just add one quick thing?
Yes.
I was gonna offer a suggestion too, because we actually, I could show you, but we have the other buildings, how they play off of each other, but, if you think that'll be helpful, I'm gonna come back for the main house, but I'll shut up.
Yeah, I think that might be.
Well, because the next one is a building that has those little nuggets on top too, so there's all these little nuggets.
Okay, could you point out one nugget, because I'm lost?
On the south elevation,
Yes.
the little window.
The little.
If you look at it in his perspective,
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
That's found on
But I'm also looking at the site plan, so, I mean, if you see
I don't mind.
where they are relative to the street, I just,
I don't even know, yeah. You might, I mean, maybe you'll see.
yeah, I'm not suggesting you're not gonna see them, but I don't think you're gonna see them the way we're seeing them in the drawing.
I'm okay.
I still agree they're complicated, but.
Overly.
Oh, house is
Do it.
complicated. Where do you wanna start?
Yeah,
This is the
it's-
most complicated.
Do we have a motion, or can we do something through that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. As submitted,
Yes, this is the
all right.
revisions on the wet doors.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Ooh, that sounds like a town
Seem
meeting
like you're
vote.
kinda on the fence on that one.
There's a little extra
Yeah,
emphasis.
hoping
to
to
it.
get like enough sound for a couple.
Yeah.
All right, so that's
Really
4 to
struggled with that
1.
decision, I'll be honest.
She was looking for an echo.
The next one
I
is,
can stand alone. I can take
the
it.
next one is the
She's
gym.
strong.
Big shoulders on that girl. I mean that in a good way.
Yeah. You
I
bet.
realized it was coming out of my mouth. If you could see.
Yeah. Keep it up, Steve.
Stop talking.
Grab the shovel and just keep digging.
All right, the
I
gym.
was sitting next to you too long.
Where'd he go again? Where'd
Oh,
he go? Why'd he go?
Oh, this is the first time tonight. Thank you. A gentleman. Not like a Russell. No.
Alright,
Again.
yeah,
Now imagine these side by side.
so the changes we made, we're changing the window and the door
No.
style. And if I could, you know, just, cause I totally understand your perspective, and I obviously respect everyone's opinion. And the thing without these pieces, in combination with the existing structures, they just looked under detailed, or, you know, so I felt like, I know that, I don't like over ornamentation, but I feel like when we looked at them without them, it looked like they were too stark, if you will, or too removed, so, that was,
Can I
did
get a
look at it, just so you know.
So you're not suggesting we go back and have you simplify the house, correct? Okay, so based on the comments of the last small structure in the rear lot, my comments are the same.
I have a gym.
This is gym.
What was the one before, the cabana?
Yeah.
It looked the same.
Huh?
It looked the same to me.
They're
Well, that's
different.
all right, that's,
Yeah, the cabana is a simpler, this one's got like the gable forward, hip forward.
A little additive massing.
I'm okay.
okay, so can I get a motion to approve? It's the,
Sure,
Did
I'll
it?
make a motion to approve.
Abby's made the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
I thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much.
I'm opposed.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. Okay, the last thing is, thank you for coming.
Please, you won't be here, please read the, letter that got sent out.
I did read it.
Okay.
Are we going to discuss that after this?
I just, if we have an opportunity for like 3 seconds,
I'll stay.
but I just wanted to, just so if people ask you
saw it.
your
I
conversion,
saw it.
your,
Thank
Two
you,
left,
Matt.
two left. Robbie left?
He left again.
What?
He would only have 3 people.
Oh.
Okay, so
Alright.
this is the Union Lodge.
All right.
better shot that time.
I got to bring up something on the,
We gotta vote on the
Farm
Gray Frost
also.
too.
what?
We've gotta vote on the Gray Frost tonight.
The Great
Oh, I
Frost.
thought we
It's been on our
already
agenda
did.
for 3 months. It's been on our agenda for 6
It's
months.
on my house and I hate it.
It's been on our agenda for a year.
It's on my house. It's on my house.
Good evening.
Never
Hi,
put
how
it
are
on
you?
your house.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
My name is Mark Norris. I am the master of Union Lodge down in Nantucket. I know Nathan McMullen has been here a few times to go over this, and there's been a few issues with the doors and with the chimneys as well. So we did a little more research. We've got Linda helping us here. This is Jeffrey Turner as well. He's the chaplain of Union Lodge this year. So I will.
Okay.
Present.
We have, that's
not really where we're going as far as the front of the building is concerned anymore. Who's sitting on this, by the way?
This is Camp, acting chair, McLaughlin, Oliver, Dutra, Watterson, alternate Welch.
Oh, so no Diane and,
Say that again, sir, but he is it.
It's Camp, acting chair, McLaughlin, Oliver, Dutra, and Watterson.
Okay.
Welch, alternate.
I thought I was on it.
Hey, you're on one. Here. I know. I could tell.
Anyway, I don't have to worry. Okay,
so Abby's the chair?
yep.
You can start anytime.
I'm an alternate, so you can expect my
I
opinion
got sort of
at some
confused
point.
here.
I
Oh, boy.
give you an opinion too.
And Diane will certainly weigh in.
Somebody said I was an opinionated old lady.
Well, I agree with part of that
Well, that's
statement.
true.
And it's the opinionated part. There's nothing wrong with that.
I resemble that remark.
That's the one I put in the file.
For what? I don't need it.
Okay, my understanding, not having been here on the last bunch, that really one of the sticking points was the front of the building.
The
If
only
you look
one.
at the history I provided, the building obviously went down in 1846 with a great fire. It was rebuilt along with everything on that side, and there is a rather interesting picture in the NHA records of them rebuilding the entire south side of the street after the Great Fire. So it was during the time that they had photographed. What they did put up was a bunch of one-story, which you can see in the aerials, a bunch of one-story row buildings. This building was rebuilt as a one-story structure, no chimneys, no nothing. It moved along in its time. Sanborn maps will show you at the back, starting in and I put a list in there of what the Sanborn map shows, because it's hard to read them. Starting in 1887, it was a 4-unit building, and it remained a 4-unit building with 4 doors across the building. When they added the second floor, and just before the turn of the last century, which you can see when it changed, as you move through the pictures, they added the chimneys in the back, because they had to heat the second floor. The front of the building had 4 doors right across it. They had the 2 doors that go up to the second floor. When they built the second floor, next to that, on the west side, going up Main Street, there was another door. There was a door in the middle, and there was a door all the way to the left. It went through a lot of different uses. It was a grocery store, it was a barber shop, it was a paint refinishing, it was a varnishing, it was a post office for a great deal of the time, before they built the other building in the 30s. As it moved through time, the front stayed pretty much the same. The windows were much different than they are now. The doors are much different than they are now. When Butler's went in, and you can see a picture of that in the 1930s, is when they changed the facade of the building entirely. They got rid of the left-hand door because the post office left. The right-hand door was the Union Club, which was a bar, probably a speakeasy at the time. And Butler's occupied 3 of the 4 units. The 4th unit, going up Main Street, still had its own door, and it was still the bar well into the 40s. Butler's eventually took over the whole building, and you can see it's, the first picture I could find of Butler's was 1968, where the right-hand door was gone, and all you had was the center door and the door going up to the second floor. So there's nothing, none of the windows are original, the doors are not original, the formatting of the front of the building is not original, because it had windows all the way across the second floor, down the side and down the back. So when the Masonic Hall put their hall up there, the windows came out, except for the right-hand window going up the stairs and into the lobby on the second floor, if anybody has never been up there.
When was that?
They're dividing it into 3
Somewhere,
units.
the windows came out They're still there in the 1940s. We can only assume that the windows came out sometime in the 60s, late 50s.
Isn't the hall older than that?
Well, oh yes, but they had windows all the way around.
Oh, and then they took them out.
Then they took the windows out. You can actually, if you look at one of the older photos, you can see where they shingled, where the windows used to be.
Oh, yeah, you can see,
Yeah.
You can still see where they were.
Yeah.
And then they added a window on the first floor on the Union Street side, took one out, so there's not a facade on the building that is original to the building.
From the first story building?
Even the first story is not, they've changed all the windows, they've changed all the doors. So what they wanna do now is put a door on the right back where the other door was for the Union Club, because that's gonna be one unit. It's the last largest space on Main Street besides Murray's. It's only a matter of time before they split the uses in the building. So they wanna put 3 uses in the building. They don't wanna mess around with the handicap access, which is why it's ramped. It makes it a lot easier. What they wanna do is split the space on the left and split the space on the right, and the Union Club space all the way to the right is gonna be a separate space. So this was thrown up to the Architectural Access Board in Boston. And the minute you monkey with entrances, they must be made handicap accessible. So they have to be a larger than usual door. So when you look at this, the smaller one that I gave you guys, one that John has under there, the doors are the same type, but they had to go wider to 3.6. So the side lights came out, which aren't original to the building. Those doors came out, but we're reproducing the doors pretty much as they are now, but wider with an extra panel. And that's all we can say about the front. The rear, now keep in mind that the original building was flush. It had no submerged entrance like it does now. The rear of the building, those chimneys didn't exist until right before the turn of the last century. They were put in probably to give heat to the new second floor, but before that there was no chimneys on the building whatsoever. Those chimneys, when they start putting the foundation in, they're not on heavy foundations themselves. They're tenuous at best. When they came in years ago, when I was first on the HDC, I think to redo the fire escape thing in the back, we were made aware of the fact that those chimneys were probably going to come down at some point. They just haven't done it. Now they're beginning to do stuff to the building. They're beginning to make the maximum use out of the building. And they'd like to take those 2 rear chimneys down without having to spend 20, 30,000 to put fake chimneys back up, since they're not even in use now, since they put regular heating in the building. It is an industrial building. A lot of the buildings on Main Street do not have chimneys. A lot of them are obviously flat topped. And we'd like to just take the chimneys off the back. If this had been a dwelling, I could understand that. Actually, in the parking lot behind it, before they put the phone building up, there was a beautiful 5-bay colonial. And that was disappeared. And then there was another utility building behind this building, and that disappeared when they put the 7th floor on. So as you can see, there's been a lot of changes made to the building, same footprint. But we'd like, those are the 2, I believe, the biggest issues remaining from the previous hearings. Nathan couldn't be here tonight, so I sort of got picked up on it, and I wanted to make sure you had all the historic information, and the AAB stating here 2 independently operated doors, you still have to, they have to be handicap accessible. They're not the original doors on the facade. And that's pretty much it. If anybody has any other questions.
Anybody wanna jump in?
I will.
Okay, Val.
Thank you for that explanation, Linda. I think for me, I understand the doors have to get wider and you have to add the interim piece because of the wall that's dividing the space. I'd like to see the side lights eliminate the vertical number in the middle and go back to more of like what it was like with Sputner's, so they're just almost the same size as the little window units up above the doors. They're just too small and chiclety.
Now run that by me again, Val. Side
The
lights are
side
out.
lights have too many windows, just take away the vertical member in the middle and call it a day.
We were gonna take the side lights out, look at the small one.
Why don't you just let
No,
the
I wasn't sure she saw the little one. Do you see the little one, Val? This one. This
So
one.
that's what's confusing.
It doesn't
Yeah,
have.
Yeah, there are no side lights.
No side lights, because the door has to get so much wider, the side lights
Why
are
are we
gone.
looking at this then?
Because, well, this is an addendum.
Yeah, Nathan could not be here with another set of drawings, he's, ill.
So what's gonna be there, wood?
Yes, just a wood frame, like they're framed now, but
It has
without,
to be a 3/6
Without-
door.
Full glass panel, which,
Yeah.
no, they're not full glass panel,
Side
that's wood,
lights?
that's wood.
side lights?
Yeah,
Wood
that's
is
wood.
wood.
Around the doors, there are no side lights anymore. That's
We're
why we
looking
did-
at the Linda version
Yeah,
now.
the whiteout version in
I
my,
mean, this is a,
Mine.
sorry, I should,
That,
I'll take.
we got that word today about the handicap accessibility.
From Mickey Rowe.
Val, do you have any other questions about this?
no, I don't really care about the chimneys, cause they were added,
100 years ago.
and, well, they've shingled over all the windows, I mean, who cares about chimneys?
It's not a house, if it was a house, we'd have to keep those chimneys.
Well, wait, everybody keep their, okay, so, Jesse, do you wanna go?
Thank you. So, the handicap accessibility, how does that affect the application now, or versus, I mean, you already have the ramps and you're not proposing to change
The entrance,
the
no,
ramps?
no, the ramp stays, but the doors have to get, that's why the side lights are going, the doors have to get wider themselves. One
Okay.
into this unit, one into that unit, and then the one all the way to the right had to get, wider also over there to get
But
handicap.
that's not shown in these drawings.
That's the small
No,
one.
this only the small one.
There's a small, do you have a copy of the small one?
There should be one right flying around over there. Clearly, the doors are probably gonna be custom made, but
On the big drawing, you take out the side lights and just make the door 3/6.
What happened to our idea about the foyer to create one door and two doors inside with the hallway?
They nixed it.
that's interior, and we're not talking about interior.
Oh,
Except for the fact that if we do that, that hallway is going to take up a massive amount, because it has to be handicap accessible with 2 lanes, and then those doors have to be handicap accessible, and then it keeps going and going and going. So, we didn't, being that the front of the whole first floor is completely different than it was for the first 100 years of its life. We figured leaving that entrance pretty much the same and just widening the doors would be probably the optimal thing.
Optimal for square footage inside the building, not historic.
Well, we could
preservation.
always remove the existing foyer that's there and come flush back to the front of the building, but then you're dealing with, you'd have to deal with a ramp outside on the
You'd have to change the
sidewalk out in
sidewalk.
front of the building.
That's why most of the
So the
building,
ramp goes inside.
It's
a little
just a
vestibule now that
sidewalk.
goes
It's
in.
recessed.
It's recessed now.
Yeah.
Recess.
The way that recess is.
actually,
it's-
Jesse, take a look at the
Goes
floor
right up
plan
to-
behind that. It
So
shows you the
but
recess.
even that is gonna
It
have to be
ducks
tweaked
under
a
a
little
little
bit, but
vestibule now.
we're gonna tweak it to work that. The issue, the ADA issue comes up simply because the existing 2 doors are gonna be moved about 8 inches apart to accommodate an interior wall, to a dividing wall.
And the minute you touch
So
the doors,
as soon as we touch those doors, we have to deal
Under
with
the
ADA
code.
compliance.
So under the roof line, the handicap ramp continues.
yes, it stays.
It's a slope, because the main street goes like this, and the ramp goes up to the door under the vestibule, to make it level. Under
Because I thought it had to be level in front of the door to actually.
It
No,
is,
it's-
and when it comes under the vestibule, it levels out to the front of the door, but it slopes from where Main Street is this way, it slopes up to the doors. So it makes it legal, with your 20 pitch or whatever it is. 120.
Because almost every one of the buildings that are handicap accessible have taken this same route. Their doors at some of the places are already recessed, so they've sloped from the sidewalk. And in one case, the sidewalk is completely sloped, they sloped about 20 feet of it. So they've made various modifications up and down Main Street on both sides as much as they could. Some can't, like the drugstore could.
John, are you on this? Yeah. John, are you ready to contribute?
Yes.
What do you think?
I just had a couple of questions, and I don't know what department. You have a stairway in the back here. It's 22 steps. I'm just curious. They had a law that 15 foot, you gotta have a flat surface, no? Step.
Landing?
Are they gonna change this any?
That's the fire escape, right?
That's the
Yeah.
fire escape.
There is a landing, you come out of the doors, there's a landing there, and then, well, we're not planning on changing.
Well, I'm just saying, I heard years back, that 15 feet, you gotta have a landing to continue.
Yeah, those came through the building department some time ago. They're okay with the way the stairs are. You know, they was about 15 years ago, they replaced those.
Where are you on the
My question-
chimneys, John?
I'm sorry?
Where are you on the chimneys? They're removing the chimneys. Where,
Is the existing, sorry, did you say how old those chimneys are?
About 1900, John.
Um,
They were put on when they put the second floor on.
I'll pass.
does anybody, well, Mrs.,
I
you
would-
want to,
if I-
okay, yes, please.
If I could add some of my comments or thoughts. I'm sensitive to the chimneys. I feel like it's part of the history of the building. I think $20,000-$30,000 is worth salvaging something. It's just, you know, I'm not a picky person, but this is a highly sensitive 30 Main Street property, and I think that it's our job to do what we should do to preserve it, and I think that the chimneys should stay. The facade, I'm okay with, understanding that, you know, we can't get around the handicap accessibility situation.
Yeah, I'm okay with the changes other than, you know, I appreciate the accessibility concerns and everything and why you've done what you've done. But I'd like to see those, side lights be actual glass other than, the paneling. And maybe carry the sill across from the windows adjacent to it as the starting point of the glass with the wood paneling below the side light.
I don't know if we can get them in, TJ, without ripping down the ramp part of, we've got a confined space where the ramp is. I don't know if we have enough room to actually put those side lights back in at all without them being like 4 inches wide.
Oh,
And
is
that's
that
gonna look,
right?
yeah, that's what's gonna
Okay.
look bad.
I didn't realize that.
And it is glass coming up to both sides.
Yeah, it comes right up to the door.
So that is glass on it.
Well, if it's gonna be so narrow that it doesn't make sense, the wood paneling would blend in anyway.
How do you feel about the chimneys?
I'm not too concerned about the chimneys, to be honest.
Oh, maybe that's.
Okay, so I feel, I would like to have the chimneys restored. I'm okay with the fenestration on that, what is it, west?
North.
Where you have those windows, south, it's south here.
South is, the back.
The
back
the
is
four
south.
windows and the door, I'm fine with that. Yeah, and I understand that the code, the 3'6", I think I would like to see this drawn up, because I wanna see how, once you take out those 2 side lights, what's it going to look like on either side?
Oh, definitely.
I'd like to see that,
We do
and,
that through staff.
and that, well,
They're trying to get going before the boards, shall we say.
yeah, it's up to the board, but I'm assuming that whatever happens to the B will happen to the C and the A window, the A doors.
Yeah. Well, just the door, the 2 doors in the middle and the one to the right, we're not changing the one all the way to the right that goes upstairs.
Okay, that's a solid door.
Yeah.
But
It's just the 3
the
others.
B, the 2 Bs and the C have the windows in them.
Yeah.
Okay, so, what is the consensus here? Does there anybody else that would like to speak on this, because this is a really important building?
Yeah, I'd like to get clarification, because there was some confusion, at least in my mind, on the discussion. So what was passed out today is a 8.5 by 11, stamped April 11th. There's two sheets, 8A, A8, and A6. 8A shows the A8, I'm not gonna say that 3 times fast. It shows the larger doors without the side lights, in 2 locations for a total of 3 doors. The next sheet seems to correspond to that. The widths of the doors are correct, and it shows the recessed front door entry, primary door entry into 2 retail stores. That is the correct layout in terms of the floor plan?
Yes.
Okay, I misunderstood that that the front doors were moving flush to the street.
No, that was just something that Jeff said.
Oh, okay, okay,
We
so I
could go back to the original facade, which was completely flush.
just wanted to check for clarification, because there's a bunch of different plans, and just for certainty in the understanding.
Well, clearly, we give you a new
Yeah,
photograph.
yeah, thank you, thank you.
All right,
No other comments?
do I hear, yes?
I think that keeping this building looking as much as it did in the past, in the 60s and 70s, it's a very important building. It's gone through some important people that have occupied it, but the building itself, with when Buttner's had it, and then the door going up to the Union, where the Black Flag was when people died, and stuff that they had. I think that's important. It is the beginning of going up Main Street, and we're fighting hard to maintain Main Street. And its picture as people come into the center of Nantucket town. So if one could do it without changing, I don't think you need to change it all to define 3 different stores, because 3 different stores may only last for a year, and the next guy wants to go back to a single store. So I think to pick an age to go back to it and stick with it, and not try and cover the existing requirements.
Maybe
Can
Diane.
we comment on that one comment?
Well, I just wanna see what the feeling of the board is here. What, do we want to hold for revisions, or do we want to,
I'm okay with the motion, without chimneys.
Chimneys are coming down.
well,
Says who?
They're coming down.
When
They
we
have
do
to
the
come down
foundation,
when they
they're
do the
gonna fall down.
foundation, they're gonna fall down. They're coming down now by
It's dry
themselves.
stack underneath there,
Yeah.
1897
Yeah.
foundation, so when
Coming
we
down
dig
now
down
anyway.
to there, they're gonna fall.
You're lifting it up and putting a new foundation?
That's what we're trying,
Not
we
picking it
have
up.
to do it, actually,
oh,
we're
you're
not
just gonna
picking it up.
dig
They're
underneath?
going
Digging
underneath, yeah.
We're supporting. We're
They're
digging
not picking it
underneath.
up.
One in mind, and one in.
I know.
I'm sorry.
It's,
One.
No. They're not picking the building up. They're gonna go underneath it with little teeny weeny backhoes and put a
and you're
foundation
gonna do
underneath.
this all before the summer starts?
No,
No.
we're starting we're trying to get through the building department and then we've got a tentative date in October. Start in October and then be done again in May, but we're trying to get everything rolling and everything's taking a lot longer. So we're trying to get everything in line, start in October and then be done by next season. I think we can do that, but it is a tight schedule.
They still have to get the engineered plans for that
We're
foundation.
working on it, but we're trying to get everything.
Well,
So we can
yeah,
move
I
forward.
mean, this is,
Like, again, I would be okay with making a motion to approve preserving the chimneys.
Does that mean they're gonna come down?
I
Period.
understand, but you can
But
put
you
them back.
could
That's what
put
I'm
up
saying.
new
Put them
ones.
back up.
So
they're gonna be fake
the
chimneys.
duty of the Masons are to give money to charity, right? So it's just taking more money away from where we give. That's what we do. So I'm just saying, they weren't there originally, and if I could speak, they were putting more money into it. It's just more money that we can't give away. So if that makes any difference at all.
May I suggest, and not, I mean, maybe just do a view to see, in these drawings and in my mind, these chimneys have a lot of significance. I think that's being what's being, the response. But I'm just kinda curious if you actually, I'm gonna go myself and look regardless, but what visual impact they have at the rear of the structure. And perhaps there is another solution that could come out of a viewing that might be, there's one chimney, or there's a different treatment that somehow gives honor to the chimney. I don't know, I mean, I just suggest that maybe a view wouldn't hurt to take a look at that aspect of it. But I'm not actually, I may be sitting on this, so I'm voicing my thoughts on it. So that later on, if another alternate is not here, you're not surprised. Or the whole process gets reversed because someone comes up with something no one else expected. So I would suggest, with respect to the chimneys, I will be viewing it. I don't know if you all want to.
Is there a sense of the board that, I hate to ask, and I always hated it when I was sitting on it. Do we have 3 votes to take the chimneys down and not put them back up? Because I'm hearing mixed.
Abby's chairing.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to hold this for 1 week. We go through it, get it out of our mind, settle it once and for all.
And then what about having the drawings modified?
Yes,
so we can-
hold on, neither one of us are here next week. So put it off the following week?
Yes, of course.
Can we be at the beginning of the meeting instead?
Absolutely. I think it's important that we get it right, and if people are on the fence about the chimneys and the doors, it's just.
We'll get you a drawing.
approved for the, I'm sorry,
You can't bifurcate it, then you have to start all over.
So is there a motion to hold for a
I'll make
view?
a motion, I made the motion.
Okay, thank you, John. All in favor of John's motion to hold for a view and to see this in 2 weeks?
Aye.
Just keep in mind, they're not original to the building.
More of a potential to be advantageous.
In the
All right.
I'll try to get you the new drawings.
Yeah, of the front.
Thank you. I
Yep.
have one comment, get the information. I know the back wall of the air conditioner, and I wanna get a good look at it, because you might have to do a heck of a lot of repairing in there. That used to be a spa,
Oh, yeah, that's what it was, the restaurant.
Right, yeah.
There was a whole
So the
nother
good
building.
news is that you
All right.
can't see the chimneys from anywhere going up Main Street. It's only on Union Street when you drive down that one side. That's the only time that you really can't.
Okay, it has been closed and the motion has been made. We have other things
Thank
we
you,
have
guys.
to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Linda, do you have any more of those packets of the history?
Yep.
So I can look at
Yeah,
it?
those are
Yeah,
great, thank you.
that was
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, that was a nice job.
It's great. I went through 5
Especially when you look at the
hundred
Sanborn maps to
pictures.
see that there were 4, and then there were 3,
Yeah.
and then 2.
I
did a
love
nice
it,
job on
Main
this.
Street.
And you can see actually the building next to the,
She always takes good
That's what I
pictures.
did yesterday.
No, you did a nice
see
job.
that?
You have one, Val, you have one, Jesse, you
Yeah,
have one.
thank you.
And that was the
He
building.
has a whole set.
that was
Okay.
before the, electric.
Excuse
I think
me.
this one right there, Steve.
Oh, this one's the official.
Abby,
That's okay.
we have to
I
go
can give you one,
on.
I have
Thank
one.
you.
Right here.
Thank you for
I'll
sharing
get you a
that.
job.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
You're brutal. He
we
would do
need to
likewise.
approve some minutes,
You can elbow.
and that is April 9th. Is that the only one we've got to approve?
Yeah, no, you have to make a, motion on Jeffrey Heller.
On who?
Jeffrey Heller, Robert came in and asked us to be held.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
Motion to
thought,
hold,
I
number
thought we'd
16.
already done his.
Well, it was motion to hold for representation, but he wants it held so that Ray can come back on.
Okay, well, he'll be on next Tuesday, so a motion to hold,
Motion to hold
16.
number 16.
all those in
For 1
favor?
week.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
are just held.
And then now, can we approve the 9th of April?
Motion to approve the
Well,
minutes
we
of
got a
April
couple things to
9th.
talk about.
Alrighty,
Down below.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The other thing we need to make a, color is discussion of approval, roof shingle color, some silly color, what color?
Gray frost.
Alright, we have a color for, Gray Frost was out in the garage down at 2. And
Did you print that, John? I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
I thought that was approved 2 or 3
I
weeks
too.
Well, there's a little more to it. Can I?
Yes, you tell the
So,
story.
this is the sheet we approved to be posted on the website, and it's been modified. There's been no material modification except for with respect to adding gray frost as an
Great
approvable
frost. Did we look-
tip.
Did we look at that?
Yeah, and that's the one that's in the back of the barn we looked
I
at.
know it is, but the name doesn't strike any bell.
Yeah, it's one we looked at. It's Avion, it's
It's
actually on
Oh, it's a
Abby's
certain
house.
tea?
Certain seed XT variety. So okay, so just very simply, the changes to the sheet in front of you from what was previously approved is under section 1 to simplify the language. There's been no material or substantive change to any of the text otherwise. And to add gray frost as an approvable color, and to change, the columns used to say approved and not approved. They've been changed to say approvable and not approvable, because in context, it makes more sense to whoever reads it versus what we voted, which is what the original sheet was. So the ask is, based upon you all having viewed the gray frost, is to approve addition of gray frost 3-tab and to approve the sheet that's in front of you to be posted on our website as soon as possible.
Okay, all those in favor of that motion? Aye.
I'm opposed. I hate that one.
Well,
It's on
don't
our
use it then.
It's too late, it's on our house.
No, it is.
Can we do a quick Vineyard Wind update?
I need to do that too. Let me
Okay.
tell my
Slow
first.
down
ahead.
a moment.
Um,
I need you to slow down a moment. Who made the motion?
I did.
You did, okay. And the vote was 5-0, Abby not vote.
I'm opposed,
Okay, so
but doesn't mean it.
you only
Still
5
carries.
votes. So
Do you,
then
you want to vote or you want to vote no?
Yeah, I wanna vote no.
Okay, so
she
4 to
wants
1.
to
So
vote
it's
no.
4-1, but the question is, who wasn't voting?
I didn't vote.
Okay, thank you.
Jesse and
There are only 10 columns approvable right now, according to this.
Okay, well, that's what we're approving tonight is
Okay,
that
all right.
page.
Now that I'm caught up.
You all right? Okay, I'm gonna make a quick thing from the update and then, Steve, I have listened, I've been on, websites and all the rest of it, and we had 2 people who have worked very hard on getting the facts out and working on this. One is, Sinatra, Lauren Sinatra, and the other is Abby.
No, Holly.
Holly, right, sorry, I had their names this afternoon. They have done a remarkable amount of work. Lauren
With
has,
Steve.
and
Yeah, we're
Steve
a
too, but
work group.
he's different than,
No, you're incorrect.
no, just let me finish,
It's
okay?
incorrect.
What's incorrect?
Lauren and Holly and I work together.
I know you do.
You just said that we don't.
I didn't say that. I just said that those 2 girls have worked very hard, and they work for the town, and yet they put this time in, which I think is terrific. And they have done a lot of informational work, Steve also, but Steve gets to talk and they get to do the work in the back, and I just think sometimes it's nice to tell the people that work with you that
Diane,
it's a
you're
good
going
thing.
a little astray here.
No, I'm
first of
not.
all.
Do you mind if I finish?
Yeah.
I have
I do
asked
mind.
them, or I have asked John to set up a meeting with having those 2 women come and have a discussion on the wind farm so that everybody, so we know. I don't know what's going on. I know what I read on the website and stuff, but I don't know what goes on in the individual meetings. I don't know what they're working on, other than they work hard. John said they worked hard. So if they came to a Thursday meeting that was already posted, they could give us with Steve a quick rundown, and we might be able to say how we feel about it, because we haven't been asked how we feel about it at all, that I know of. I haven't.
Okay,
And so that's all, is that he's gonna do that, they'll come, everybody will get a chance to ask everybody questions, get people's point of view, and get your point of view heard. That's
okay.
it.
So first of all, I take exception to that whole piece you just said. I have absolutely no issue with other people coming and updating the HTC. I was voted and approved unanimously to be your representative. I have made attempts to bring you updates and seek input on a regular basis. This item has been on your agenda. At times you have chaired evening meetings where you wanted to go home.
It's true,
And
I'm not
may I
saying
finish?
that you
May I
didn't.
finish, please? And there was never any questions, or if they were always answered. So I have to take exception for to have an accurate record of events. To suggest that no one has ever asked you for your opinion on this, or provided you information, is just factually wrong. That's number one. Number two, to suggest that the other members of the work group are not thanked for their efforts is, again, factually incorrect. As a matter of fact, we met with Bohm earlier today, and after that meeting, I directed discussion on the contribution of the other members of the work group. So again, correction made. I also think that there is I think that it'll be interesting to see the result of the meeting. I'd like to know who brought up the concept of having the work group come and present to the HDC. Was that you, Diane?
Yeah.
Okay. And John, you gave Diane information prior to that?
No, I called him up.
Okay, I
And
just want to
asked him.
understand.
I did, because I've been listening on the websites of all different information, and not that I was saying you didn't tell me, because I didn't know what questions to ask, so you couldn't tell me. I just have spent the last 2 weeks reading a lot.
So the reason I asked, because Lauren has made a point to not be in the newspaper, and the only place I'm aware of that Holly or Lauren have been referenced, and actually just Lauren, is in the newspaper. So for you to say that you've been reading about them online.
No,
may I
not
finish,
them,
please?
not them,
Okay.
of the wind farm, not Lauren and Abby, just the wind farm itself and different points of view.
Okay, so I think I've made that point. The other point I'd like to make, not anticipating any of this and not having the courtesy of anyone mentioning it to me beforehand, so I could be prepared just to be whatever, is that I would suggest that there would be a difference between having someone come and talk about their perspective as the energy coordinator and their perspective as the representative of the NP and EDC, and getting feedback from them and giving your input, versus official determinations of how to proceed on certain matters, because it muddies the waters and it gives an unclear message if you're giving your input as individuals to individuals who do not represent you and who represent other interests, some of which can be contrary to your own. I'm not suggesting that they are, but I'm just saying that's historically, unfortunately, how things are in a small town. There's sometimes zoning or NPDC matters are a little bit different oriented than they are for the HDC, and the same obviously between the town and the HDC. I do think it's beneficial for them to come here and talk if that's what you're interested in doing. The reason that I was going to update was we met based on prior advocacy I had presented to you all to ask for expert counsel. We were able to initiate with the town of Nantucket that concept and get the council approved and active. Earlier today, we had a Section 106 meeting, which was scheduled from 1 p.m. to 4:30. We found that Bohm was more responsive to our concerns. However, there's much more work to be done. And along those lines of being informed, I would ask that you read the letter that I put together and the mitigation efforts based on input from you all over time, so that if it comes up in discussion, you're aware of what our topics of concerns are.
But,
I would also ask that you read the letter so that if you're gonna sit here and say that you haven't had an opportunity to voice your concerns, you at least determine whether your concerns are addressed in the letter that was presented to BOEM on your behalf after you voted on the topics. Yeah, so that was just the update, and please read the letter.
When did you send the letter?
I sent it through John.
No, when?
We sent it on the 19th, which, along with the town's letter.
Oh, 'cause
That's great with the council, so you got some actual council being.
Yeah, we have a firm called, the town has hired, and, under their auspices, the HDC is currently represented. It's awesome. Yeah. Cultural Heritage Partners.
who did they get?
It's a company called Cultural Heritage Partners. And they're, very well versed in this area of law, and their job is to help us navigate and strategize, through various parts of the process and what might result or might not result in the end. And I want to apologize to the extent that if I sound a little terse, it's been a long day. We met with BOEM. There've been a lot of hours of preparation prior to that. And it just seems to me that if you have questions, the first place you should go is your representative. So that's my last statement on that for now.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Discussion and possible vote on Nantucket Historic District map. I think I mentioned it last week or the week before. We've already said what the dimensions would be and where it should go. And we have a copy. We have not voted it yet.
I thought we voted, Johnny, I think
voted that in.
we voted that in last
Town.
Tuesday.
We voted the town,
Not Nantucket.
Not Mattocket.
We haven't voted for the new map, the historic map in Connecticut.
And that was actually a different map. I don't think that map had to do with review board, that had to do with actual zoning.
Right, and it went out to the beginning of Veal Point or the end of Veal Point Road and stuff. Yeah.
Can I continue a little bit? All right, last week, we, had a nice presentation from Steve on an update on the, Beatty Wind project. I like that. And then we had discussion, possible work to expand historic structures advisory board map review. We voted to approve that.
Right.
Now, we got roof shingles, was tonight, right?
Right.
All right, I think, now, did we take an official vote on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Would be it? Okay.
Yep.
And the other one is, expanding Wisconsin Old Historic District. Do we have any map on that? Okay.
No, I had put that down for a group discussion. I don't know if you wanna do it tonight, but there are, my point is that there are neighborhoods in Wisconsin that have really old buildings. I'm talking about Baxter Road, I'm talking about Maury Lane, and we put a swimming pool in on Maury Lane, and it's came up before us, and it's controversial. So I would like to extend that historic map of Wisconsin. I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but.
Have we seen a printed map?
No, this is just a discussion.
Yeah, we should, maybe we could get a printed map.
There's two kinds of maps. There's the Wisconsin Advisory Board map, which does not affect the Wisconsin Old Historic District.
But maybe we get one that, like the one for Nantucket with 2 different or 3 different colors, saying the old historic and what the.
Well, the way they did, the way they extended, Lincoln Circle to
Right.
be in the old historic,
So
I think
if
it's.
we could do that, we'll give out the papers and we'll look at them and talk about them. I think that would be a good
I
idea.
don't know, I don't even know where to start on something
I
like
have an idea. Why don't we make a motion to have the Wisconsin Advisory Board
That's what I suggested too.
review?
Yeah.
Now, I'm just putting your
I-
thoughts in words.
yeah.
But have the Wisconsin Advisory Board review and make a recommendation on expansion,
Yeah,
if any, not, one way or the other.
Yeah.
And that the result of that will be a map product that includes the Wisconsin Old Historic District as it exists, the zoning area as it exists, and their proposed changes, as with the OHD map that HSAP put in.
Should we ask the Wisconsin advisory
Yes,
board
that-
to,
yeah, because-
to be, to.
That's what I
Right.
said, is we asked them to determine whether, one, makes sense, and two, if it does, give us a map that we can look at that
Yeah,
has
and
those
I
three
don't-
things on.
I'm not sure who that, I asked Mary Ann Felch, but she's not on it anymore.
What
She's
about
not.
Carol?
But, Mary Will, Rob Benchley,
Yeah.
Caroline Ellis.
Yeah, Caroline, Alice.
Michael
Angus.
May.
And Michael May.
Yeah, they could definitely work on that,
'Cause
so.
I think that's a great idea, because these pools,
Well,
they
it gives
keep,
you more, we makes us consider, it gives it more consideration,
right.
especially the historic houses.
And we've had pretty good discussion on Nantucket, so maybe in the next, voting time, we can have a new map, because I'm sure everybody can't put their hands on the one we got, and do that, so that gives this board more of an understanding of what they're working with. So that's, I think, great ideas. Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to get these things caught up in my own mind. The last thing is synthetic materials. I went and looked at some of them. And one is like a fiberglass mixture, you know? And I think this one they got here, in the file, we all have them, is a synthetic. I'd like to know how people feel on that, because no matter, I don't care if you put plastic up there and you painted it, who knows the difference? Should it be used or shouldn't it in certain circumstances? I don't know. if
I
they
am
put-
the person who brought this up, and I'm the person who brought this up, and I think we need to have samples of the product to even
Yeah.
have a discussion about it.
And I think, having learned why it was pulled off the, agenda today, is sort of the relative costs. So people who may use it, may find it to be as expensive as cedar to begin with, and therefore they, you know,
I think about a couple of years ago, we approved it on the Landmark House on
Yeah.
Orange Street.
Yeah.
I don't know if they put it up yet, but that would be a good kind of case study.
because
Good idea.
they have lost all those windows
Landmark
on the
House
north
on,
side,
Orange Street.
so,
It's in front of our, big apartment building.
yeah. Right, we did that whole north side where the windows were gone. I don't know whether they used
Not
fake
sure.
material
They got
there.
approved the Boral, but I don't know what they've done so far.
Right, so that would be good, but I think that the cost is something that the people don't always think of. They think it's gonna be cheaper because it isn't real, but not necessarily so. So,
Here at 7:30.
All right.
all those in favor
All
of that?
You got lucky, man.
Or we got lucky.
Hey,
We got lucky.
Steve, you hit it right, 7:30.
We got lucky.
Terry, you need a ride?
All those in favor?
Aye.
They get a